Greetings tonight, this Monday night. Yeah, this night of maybe you got to go to work tomorrow, but you decided to tune in anyway. And I appreciate that by all means. My name is Kev. This is Black Men Being Brutally Honest, and long live the habitual line steppers. Long live. Yeah, topic for tonight is they rather see us fight than meet up. Just want black men to understand that watching you fight has been the culture for the longest. I mean, let's just even go back like 20 or 30 years. I mean, how many times have black male conflict ended in something terrible? I would say, like some like rap beefs, like some to that effect. One in particular would be Tupac and Biggie. Now, would it have looked better if Tupac and Biggie had actually liked each other and did collabs and just set the hip hop world on fire as a team? Who knows? But understand this: that beef caught everyone's attention, and it was like a very entertaining thing to observe on the I don't know the listeners end, the fans end, but the way that it ended was just messed up, and should it we wish for better outcomes in the present day. So um, yeah, this is about I would say this is somewhat about the Manosphere meetup and any effort for black men to get together and talk about certain problems and issues, and also an opportunity to network. Any effort like this is seemingly always attacked, and the disappointing part about that, being a Bama guy, a man from Alabama, is that it's not the people that it's not the people that I grew up believe grew up believing hated me. It's not the people that are supposed to be my enemy. Like, these people don't have a pale face on them. They have they look like you and me. Assuming that the audience that I have watched, majority is black, which I've said several times. This is about us. This is about black people. If white people listen in, that's just more views for the algorithm. And let's face it, if black people want me to grow and prosper on this channel, black people will watch. I don't care what race watches. I just want to make sure that we're dominant around here. But it seems to me that there are people that look like you and me that don't want to see that effort realized all the way through. But yeah, the whole 3-6 bone thing. Yeah, let me get to that. It's like that's another one. Instead of black men trying to clearly get through something, fight instead. And Busy Bone says it was a part of hip hop, but Busy is just crazy all the way around. And if you follow the groups for as long as I have, which has really been since the beginning of their runs, um, shit, you would know that Busy was a problem guy. Let me put this image up here. You talk about this. Let me start off by saying, hey, number one, uh, if this fight would have happened 20 years ago, I definitely would have understood. If if it would have happened 15 years ago, 15 being 2006, I'd have been like, okay, y'all a little over the hump with that one, but still, I'd have understood it better then. But in 2021, like, I don't really think that the younger crowd understands how deep that rivalry goes. It's like the first time I ever heard of 3 6 Mafia, they were at odds with Bone Thugs and Harmony for ripping their style. They accused Bone of ripping their style. They were doing like they started out being named 666 Mafia, so they were on the same thing Bone was. That little trying to be devil worshiper, uh, Ouija board, all that other shit, and they felt like Bone stole their style and took it to the mainstream. So they made various songs and shouted out Bone in a very uh, direct and forward way. And if Busy wants to say that that kind of thing is a part of hip hop, then yeah. I mean, these groups been going at it for years. They supposedly made up though, and I mean, Bone really. I mean, I was a fan of Bone Thugs and Harmony back then. I was a fan of it, and I didn't like 3 6 Mafia at first, but then when I started listening to their stuff, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're cool. And I didn't really try to let rap beefs affect my perception of the artists themselves. I was taught that lesson through listening to 3 6 Mafia. Cause I was on Bone. It's like, oh man, Bone is the best group. Oh, they rap real fast and all this stuff. And this was just back. This was back in like 1997, 98. So yeah, I'm pretty much showing my age right now. But I looked at the demographic of people who watch me, and I mean, I think I'm cool with these people. So um, yeah. So and then even in saying and showing my age, for them to act like that on stage, like, come on, guys, y'all a little old for this. Y'all supposed to be enjoying your your twilight years. You guys are older than I am. Like y'all dudes 45, 50, 52, 53. Y'all too old to be trying to sit there like them days over with. Them days over with. That's the kind of thing that's for the young people right now, and the young people don't seem to be doing that. Not the skinny jeans generation. At least they ain't gonna be all quote unquote gangster like that. And what it really does show is that this is reflectant of the culture that started the culture that we complain about right now. It started back when I was young. I mean, even before that. This little pookie culture. This is nothing new. I said a couple nights ago, everyone acts like shit happened 2 and 3 years ago, and now everything is just some stupid, repeated, toxic. Well, I hate using the word toxic because sensitive people use that word. Just let's just say dumbass cycle. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I mean, things just come around full circle, and at some point it's gotta stop. You know, there hasn't been a collective effort. You know, and I wouldn't I wouldn't even say yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. There hasn't been a recent collective effort for black men to fix bullshit like this. You know, this is the norm. Social dominance, Highlander complex. Obsidian mentioned Highlander culture. I was watching one of the videos that covered the Manosphere meetup. Um, yeah, he mentioned that, and he was saying that other groups of men work in teams, while black men don't seem to work in teams. I've mentioned that kind of thing before. Um, and it's just, it's sad. It's sad that, we can't get through something that simple just to put our own personal ego to the side just to see something through. I mean, even the littlest of things. And I think that in order for, for the men that attended that meetup to get through that, to that, they had to put that to the side in order to get, something accomplished. And what I will say to those men that attended that Manosphere meetup, congratulations. Looked like it was something positive, and did, despite everyone who hated on it, which very much exposes something about our our people. It's was ridiculous. I mean, you hate to see it, but it will seemingly continue. You know, I don't know, maybe many years to come. But here's my thing. No matter who's attacking, black men, we always have to defend ourselves, and it's okay to do that. I mean, some of us have a tendency to become a little slack about it. Just hey, just ignore this and it'll go away. No, it. Let me give you another word. These people are acting ignorant. Now, when I was looking at the meetup, did I say to myself, "Oh man, these guys better be some good-looking men. Man, these guys better be in shape. Man, they better look like they've been to the gym." No, as long as, and this is what some of you dummies don't realize, as long as it helps someone, that's all that matters. Shoot, like I seen grown men talk about dudes like they were actually looking for some physical perfection, like almost as if it was some kind of, I don't know, some kind of weird sexual thing that they had going. Like, why would I care about how the men looked? They all, most of them, if not all of them, seem to be productive members of society. And if they weren't, a lot of men came there to start a path to being productive members of society. I mean, I'm not saying that was all of their purposes for being there, but it really seemed like it was built on something good. So that's what I'll say, man. Any kind of positive gathering of black men is a good thing, and I think that we need to see more of it. And not to say that more of it does not exist, because there are plenty of groups of business-minded black men that are out there that get together on a regular basis. But yeah, one thing you have to understand is that your mainstream media doesn't push it that way. Your mainstream media pushes like the images you see on the screen, men going back and forth fighting, wanting to perpetrate violence on each other, and they're having our skin color because that's what our people are used to. We're used to seeing black men fight and kill each other. We even push those narratives so hard. We try to, place that as the image for the black man, that all we know how to do is fight and kill each other. Especially with these old niggas up here. Yeah, these guys are a few years older than me. I mean, their lessons should be learned by now. I mean, I'm saying that as a fan of both of the groups. And really, it's more on Bone Thugs and Harmony than 3 6 Mafia. And let's face it, 3 6 Mafia was going to win that versus. And I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, Bone is for the acquired taste. They came out with Thuggish Bruggish Bone, but then when they did No Surrender, I was like, why did they do No Surrender? It's like they can't do their favorite songs; they have to do the public's favorite songs. And 3 6 Mafia had too many of it. They came out with Who Run It. Like, I got memories with Who Run It. Me and groups of friends being stupid, playing music like that. to the top of the ceiling, disturbing neighborhoods. We having the speakers in our cars and shit like that. And the neighborhoods that I hung out in the spots, the 3-6 stuff fitted more appropriate. They were making more crunk club music. Tear the club up, nigga, tear the club up. Yeah, I was on all that shit. Like I was on Bone too. I thought Bone lyric like back then. I thought they were better until I realized they were really just singing and rapping at the same time. And as far as the speed stuff, like when guys like Twister came in, they took over that. So Bone kind of fizzled out with me after a few years, but 3-6 kept going. Like 3-6's music, they got more staying power. So that was, that was almost like what the Locks did to me, at least. It was almost like what the Locks did to Dipset. But like, and I Bone, I even remember Busy. He was trying to go in on the Migos and 21 Savage, and that wasn't something I would recommend. I was like, I had did a rant on it about a year or two ago, and I almost went like these young people, god damn it, fuck, but it was like 21 Savage had a point. All of it's art, man. It ain't all like, and it was Busy. Busy was like trying to go off like, we if it wasn't for us, you guys wouldn't be where you were at, and that may be true, that may not be true, but there are plenty of rap groups out there that they could pull from besides Bone Thugs and Harmony. Niggas always want to fight. I don't think, like, at least with this generation of rappers, the skinny jean generation, at least you don't hear about, like, I don't know, maybe guys like the baby or whatever, but for the most part, I don't hear all these fights breaking out. Um, well, shoot, well, wait a minute. Let me take that back because a lot of these rappers today be getting shot. And so, yeah, they fight. It's all the way around fucked. I'll say it like that. And then that just goes to further reinforce the point I'm trying to make. Anyway, about this, we have this culture of fighting. And when black men don't fight, when black men try to do something productive, it looks weird to everyone. And I'm not going to say that, the accountability, goes to everybody but black men because we don't want to be like certain other groups of people. We want to be accountable for something. If we become old enough as people and we get sucked into it, that's our fault as men. I can't go around telling y'all as black men not to fight or not to use this Highlander complex. I'm not going to do that because you should be grown enough just like me to make the decision like that on your own. I mean, this really a lot of this broadcast is going for the ones that go around picking the fights. I mean, I've heard grown men talk like fashionistas trying to quote unquote roast these guys, and excuse me, and I have like repeatedly stated that you guys really don't know how to roast in 2021. Like they were acting like complete fashionistas. I mean, like they're pulling pictures of the guys. I mean, they don't know these guys from a bucket of paint. Don't know a background, don't know their level of success. Just decided to say, "Hey, we're gonna talk about the way these guys look." I don't care how another grown man looks. I don't. I mean, unless of course, like they become some kind of issue. Then if it's a back and forth, then I might try to crack a corny little joke or whatever. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, I'm not coming to a space full of men looking for a good looking man. because when they people talk like that, it seems like that. Like what are you looking for when you come to a group of grown men? Are you looking to learn and grow and build, or are you just trying to take the man measurements or something? You know, just it's like hey brother, hey brother, what's your waist size? Like I don't give a damn about that. If these brothers are trying to help, they trying to help, and that's all there is to it. And that right there is better than shit like what you see on the screen, a bunch of grown men squabbling. Now, even if like 3-6, like I don't even put it so much on 3-6. I mean, they're the ones that were attacked. You know, people are supposed to defend themselves. You know, maybe 3-6 represent what I want black men in this space to do, is to defend themselves. And a few of them do it quite good. I ain't gonna even say like for the most part, but we haven't fortified enough as a space to fend off all the attackers. Or we can probably just ignore the attackers and and just let them bicker, because I seen a person that tried to stay on the air all day today just to talk about the man, just to try to call themselves roasting the Manosphere meetup. That shit was pathetic and sad to say the least. I'm not gonna sit up there. If I got any reservations about the Manosphere meetup, I can take the opportunity to say it right now. But it's just like, okay, what if a female that's on the platform said I was ugly, and then I did a 5 hour broadcast just talking about her. It would be weird. It would be weird no matter what she said. She could say my whole family ugly and smell like onions. And I mean, like, me staying on the air 5-6 hours, that's just like, it's an unproductive waste of time. Just trying to sit up there trying to think about all the things that I could say about her. It's in the same level of weirdness. But it is what it is. It if you got to come at a group of black men like that, then obviously those black men are doing something right. You know, I don't think that I don't think these guys felt like they were training for a fight or whatever. Even though I heard there was a couple of trained fighters there. I don't get it, man. You guys like you guys are some vanity Smurf ass niggas out here. Like y'all just be looking in a mirror with a flower in your ear. Oh man, I hope everybody think I look good. Like, I don't walk around like that. I'm too old for that shit. Just like these niggas on the screen, they too old for that shit. And most of the people who spend their time doing that clown ass shit, they're too old for that shit. The hatosphere, the beefosphere. Like, why y'all be trying to beef with folks, man? A lot of these people that be trying to beef on this, like in YouTube, in the black sector, man, these folks too old for that shit. I'm not talking about look, if you 21, 22, you in that territory. I'm not gonna sit up there and tell like, oh, just because I've been that age, who am I to tell you how you should be acting at that age? I'm an old nigga, remember? And I don't feel like I have to apologize for the behavior of the men on the screen, but at the same time, shit, maturity. You don't have to wait to be mature. Your maturity is not negotiable. It does. If you want to negotiate your maturity, that's fine. Like that's why, like I said, I'm talking to like the time wasters out here, the people who spend their time, all they do is talk about folks instead of you know just try to be a little entertaining outside of that. I mean, if you can run an entertaining channel without trying to sit up there and shit on folks all the time, then you are truly encompass what a content creator should be. Because like let's face it, like you wouldn't be watching a lot of these folks if they weren't somewhat entertaining. If you think you're just coming through with like a textbook of information that can actually help someone, if you sound like a fucking robot, no one will care. So I can't blame a lot of these guys for trying to be somewhat entertaining coming up here. What I say is being entertaining, it cuts the tension down. It keeps people engaged. You don't, you know, this is I get sick of this little notion that we have to fly in with a cape, and every time we come on these platforms, we have to save the community. Or a lot of us are just somehow wasting our time, and we should be at a job instead. I've heard that one before too. Like I was reading my past comment sections, and like one of these women were like, "You Manosphere guys, y'all should be at a job somewhere." And then, like I said, bitch, it's Saturday night. That's how I respond. Cause I mean, like, I'm not gonna be nice to ignorant folks, especially if you choose to watch the broadcast. Shoot, everyone's effort should be appreciated. Seriously, but what I'm saying is just use a little common sense. Use a little common sense. These men just started to come up to this platform like this. Some of y'all been coming up to platforms for years and saying what y'all wanted to say. It is this platform like YouTube is just giving more people, like even people like myself, the opportunity to come up here and do it as well, without the support of a mainstream platform that only chooses like one or two random people, a blue moon. So a few black men wanted to do something positive with it. Let me take this image off the screen. So a few black men wanted to do something positive with it. Instead of just, a bunch of guys just coming up here, quote unquote, talking shit. And believe me, a lot of shit talkers are getting airtime that hate the manosphere. The what you really should be saying is the black manosphere. Let's get more into the habit of saying that, because these are black people that are attacking black men, and it needs to be said like that. If you want to associate with the manosphere with the non-blacks, then you go right ahead. We got plenty of people that have done that, that decide that they can have more financial success and get their eyes on, get more eyes on them. And I believe that a lot of those guys did that because of the Highlander complex that comes with being in a black enclave. You know, I mean, but I mean, I'll stay. Is I don't believe that I should vacate the premises just because, like, a few haters just always fucking with the space. But it's all good. If they gotta hate like that, you're doing something right. So let me see who's in the chat. See who's in the chat. All right. See who's in the chat. Says Absalom Pianki. That was much earlier. That was Roguish Son. Officer Faulkner. What's going on? Cortez Smith. Omega Dreads Gaming Channel. Everyone in their spears. Yeah. Yeah, these spears. Yeah, they go far. They go far with these spears, man. I mean, everyone wants their own identity. It's just it's like I said. I don't know if y'all heard me say this before. Like, I didn't come to this platform looking for a spear. the spirit kind of found us. I'll say that. It's and it's cool. It's cool. I have an indifference to it. I just don't. For everyone who hates the Black Manosphere specifically, for the gripes, like some of them are legitimate, but a lot of them are just they're weird and hypocritical. I mean, if you guys like it, just I'm still hearing like there's a lot of these, and this might be a legitimate complaint, but this is not one of my favorite ones. I'm seeing a lot of broadcasts where guys are saying that these men are crying men, or these dudes they always crying about women, and I mean I get that to an extent. I get that to an extent, but it's like okay, yeah, it even and I said this last night. It even made me go back and count how many broadcasts I had. Like I would say the past 30 broadcasts. Like it made me go back and count and actually see how many of them were actually female focused. And yeah, I came up with like one or two. And I mean, like, there are some people out there that would even think that was too much. So even with that, it's just I don't. I still, and I'll tell you, and I say this in front of everybody. I still find it very weird that no one ever says anything about all of the broadcasts that create like that just take jabs at black men. It's like you're gonna complain about the Black Manosphere and what you believe their view is on women, and I've tried to reinforce that over here time and time again. Yes, we love women. It's just that it's them bitches that we got a problem with. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of what the men saying are a response to all the vitriol. And you can only respond so much. I get that. But, I would say if anything, that men need to focus on the delivery of the message. I would say, it really is not. I mean, for the way that people discuss what they discuss in this space, sorry, I really don't care. I'm not gonna sit up there and make broadcast after broadcast after broadcast. And you got content creators that do this broadcast after broadcast complaining about men. You got plenty of broadcast. You got plenty of content creators that do that. And I believe I'm the only one that's saying that shit is weird. I mean, I don't need other people to say that shit. I don't. I just find it weird that you can't find a way to be entertaining outside of that. And then I mean, like, if there is a legitimate complaint about black men, if there is, if the occasion is black men need to hold black men accountable, there's always a black man that doesn't have a problem with that. I can't say the same thing for black women, and a lot of people like, don't I don't worry about black women. No, those bitches are in my community. Anybody in my community, I'm going to worry about. It doesn't make sense to say that we're supposed to lead, then turn around and say, don't worry about black women. Fuck you. I mean, don't like that's the kind of thing that I started to get passionate about. That I started to get all triggered, all in my feelings about. The level of participation that you feel like myself as a black man should have in my community. I really and non-blacks are getting in the habit of trying to tell me how I should feel about that, and I don't give a damn about that shit. So if I feel that way about non-blacks, how do I feel about people in my own community coming up to me telling me about what my level of commitment should be to making sure that at least everything is okay on my end? Some of y'all out there are just plain stupid. But the thing is, though, A lot of you don't want me and others like me to worry about that, but you complain about people like me anyway. Not me in particular. A lot of you will say that. But it's like this: if y'all shitting on black men as a collective for the same shit over and over and over again, hey, you know what? That A word comes right back into it. Accountability. I gotta say something about it. I have to. I don't say something about a lot of this shit. I mean, in particular, because black men is in the name of this YouTube channel. I mean, like, y'all say some shitty stuff about black men. I'm not supposed to say anything. See, that's how niggas operate right there. Y'all say everything y'all want. A group of black men get together and try to do something positive for black men, and y'all all want to shit all over it and act like ain't nobody supposed to say nothing to y'all. This is not a fucking schoolyard. This for the most part is the internet. And there was a group of men that decided to take it outside of the internet. And a lot of you should be happy about it, because this is the very thing you complain about not existing. But you know what? Negroes will never be satisfied with anything. Yeah. It's angry Uncle time. Cause y'all gonna call me old anyway. I mean, I'll wear that label with pride. If that makes me an old nigga, I'll wear it like y'all be saying with simp sometimes, which is the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. Must be a millennial thing, but oh, if that makes me a simp, I'll wear the label with pride. Don't Some labels you should not wear. Please don't wear those labels. But I'll wear that old nigga label. I'll wear that old nigga label all day. I mean, shit. The inevitability that that all of us will be old one day. Granted that we don't get hit by buses. E Taylor 704, what's going on? He says they got black women out here advocating abortion of black boys, and these same chumps are praising them. So screw them haters. Yeah. Here's one thing I'll say about that they've always been aborting us, black boys or black girls. They they say this shit for the knee jerk reaction. They say that shit to be in line with white supremacy. Yeah. I've said that about that. I said it in a community tab post. And I had one of the arbiters of that narrative visit the post. And one thing that you have to remember while we're sitting up there and while we're sitting up there being mad about it, shit, we're all here, we're all alive, and they still getting pregnant. Why would they want to get rid of their 18-year plan? Like, they say that shit just because they're being held accountable. They always gonna try to say the worst shit. I mean, they've gone as far as to use like they'll go to white supremacist social media to grab memes just to take jabs at black men. All because we're telling the truth about how we feel about them and what's been going on in our communities that the media keeps trying to conceal. So the more angry that they get, the better I am about it. They can say as much bad shit as they want, but it's like and they always seem to say this stuff after I don't know a white football player beats up his black girlfriend, or some woman kills her child or something like that. They always turn it up when they start like putting those little narratives out there. Like they just killing up black women. They'll say some shit like that. They say a bunch of shit about us, and it's become the norm. It is what it is. But see, for the single guys out there, like all of them aren't morbidly obese, and you know what I'm saying? Like these little like ugly virgins, like they love to say, you know, they're looking at this right now. They're not in this broadcast in particular, like you guys are, but they're looking at all of this behavior and they're saying, "Fuck that shit." So and what they're trying to do is they're trying to pass the blame to platforms such as the Black Manosphere, such as Facebook groups like Black Men Being Brutally Honest with Everyone. They're trying to pass the blame off on us like we're somehow influencing the younger generation not to fool with them. No, they're doing that shit on their own. The younger generation, they're smart enough to know that, look, I don't want to go through that dumb shit. Dollar Washer, what's going on? LOL, ask a black woman, do they want to be a stepmom? Man, y'all, you guys are some very smart guys. No, I mean, yeah, like, it's just like that question of, okay, are you women raising your daughters to respect men since you want uh, people to raise their sons to respect women? And I mean, like, it's a question, like, and that question gets asked in the Facebook group a little often, and it triggers the women. It just triggers them. Why does it trigger them like that? And I mean, like, these are the kind of issues that a lot of men want to address. I mean, a lot of men, like, they come on this platform and they use that harsh commentary to try to establish some kind of, oh, well, I don't let these females get to me. Man, y'all just be letting these females bother y'all, man. The black, yeah, like, all that shit. No, man, no. Understand this. When you bring that kind of narrative to platforms such as these, they are up for debate. Just like I understand anything I say is up for debate. If I said that I saw a full grown rooster trying to sexually assault a horse, but I didn't have a picture, then a lot of people are going to ask me to prove it. I can't just turn my back on it and be like, "Nah, man, that rooster tried to do some shit to that horse, and I feel like people should know." Nah, man, provide proof. What's going on? Where's the rooster now? Are these horses safe out here? People are going to start asking questions. It's kind of like not such a ridiculous thing that I just said, but a lot of people do that with a lot of the topics that are spewed on social media by melanated people. They try to, like, okay, if it's a serious topic, we just avoid it or we try to straw man our way out of it. And that's just sad. If you call a person dumb, prove they're dumb. Just this is that simple. It's that simple. Let me also touch on this real quick. Soul provider reacts. What's going on? Let me touch on this real quick. The whole gender war thing. I hate those two words being put together. I only put them together for contextual purposes. The reason why is because it's never going to ever be a gender war until men start responding. The second a man disagrees with a female, oh, gender war. Oh my God, the gender war. That shit is it's crap. It's crap. It's just another loose talking point people use to get through a conversation. Oh, the gender war. And mostly it be dudes that get blamed for it. Old niggas like me. We're the ones getting blamed for that. We're the ones that we get blamed for the broadcast you guys watch of females repeatedly slandering black men. We get blamed for that. The second we start saying something about it, oh God, oh Lord, it's a gender war. Shots fired. Why won't these old niggas shut up? I mean, I get it. It's like you can say it all day, but if you're actively triggered by it each broadcast, then who is that on at the end of the day? Especially for the people who are not really saying names, they just throw up the word manosphere, and automatically we believe that that somehow that men are who are associated with this space just talk about women and women only. Not like a certain guy I know that does anime reviews. or I don't know, a guy with a PhD that breaks down psychology articles, and studies. It's just everybody just wants to be a mess. They just want to be messy. I'm not gonna start speaking like the Hoteps. Man, that's because we descended from tribes in Africa, different tribes. Even though that might be true. Shockadulu. You don't have to call it a gender war. Niggas ain't blind though. I mean, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. It for contextual purposes. Yes, there's shots being fired at black men because we're black men. It's race and gender. I get that. So if it's a gender war to them, then it's a gender war to them. We've had people come up to this panel in the past, and I agree with this. If there is a gender war, the females are keeping it up. It ain't us. How many times have I tried to address black men, or attempts to address us as a group of men? A lot. Whether it falls on deaf ears or not, that's no issue with me. That's on the issues of the ears that they fell on. But I've said stuff. But I don't address black men and talk to black men just to prove to them that I could talk about black men too, because that's what all them idiots do out there. And that's not. I'm not gonna say any names on that one. I mean, all of you have been in those broadcasts. Them dudes in the space, man. Them dudes in the space. I don't understand why these dudes in the space. These dudes in the space. All of you have been in them broadcasts. So, let me open up this panel. That man said, "Fuck online warfare unless it's some type of multiplayer video game." Ain't that the truth? All right, let's drop that link. You know, drop that link. I had no problem going another hour or so. Yeah, yeah, but the topic for tonight is they just want to see us fight. They don't want to see us meet up. I'll say this. I'll say this, and I've seen this plenty of times where it won't be black men joking on each other, roasting each other, fighting each other. Yeah, I've been through plenty of back and forths on social media, not on YouTube. You know, Just commenting on, just commenting on Facebook and sometimes Instagram as well. You got to be careful on platforms about what you type because people are offended by every little thing. But when I come up on YouTube, and believe it or not, you may believe that a lot of us older ones don't practice this, but I do take into consideration my age when I present myself when I come on this platform. Acting like an uncouth individual. Uncouth. UNCOUTH. Google that. Me coming up here looking like an uncouth individual is only embarrassing. It's embarrassing, especially for my age. Now, if I was to act like an uncouth individual at 21, 22, a lot of people will probably just, oh, you did, they just dismiss it as a young person, but they'll still call me ignorant. But at this age right here, being an uncouth individual is be even more embarrassing because I do understand that, if I'm at least 10 years a person senior, they're going to look to me as a person that's supposed to be a more sensible individual than them. And if they don't get that, they're just gonna look at it like, oh man, another old nigga that need to sit his ass down. I get that. I do. I get that. A lot of what we like, and I'm not blaming Generation X for this because I don't feel like that. I mean, I feel like I'm in like pretty much the boat that the others are. I mean, I get it that we did not, prep you for a lot of this shit that's happening right now. I just want you guys to understand that, you know, um, shit, I, I went through the same lack of preparation, so it's the only way. Okay, if we work separate and productive and work our, there's two ways. We work separate, but we're productive and we produce for ourselves, or we can work collectively as a team and produce a lot. But either way will work. And the only thing is, we can like stay out of each other's way or support each other collectively, and all of us can eat. But we don't think like that. We have to get past a lot of the negative issues. And okay, we got Roguish Son.
Respect to the weekend warrior. Long live the digital line steppers. How you feel,
Uh,
fam?
yeah, long live, man. I'm feeling like I'm getting older. That's what I feel like. But
you gonna, you gonna give yourself a old man anger ulcer.
man, but I mean, if situations were perfect, if situations were positive and they made sense, there wouldn't be much to be angry about.
I hear
But
man.
I don't know. Maybe I need to take the advice of the older people. Just don't worry about it. Sit back and just watch it.
You know what? You kind of you don't want to do it because you think you always see solution, but the thing is, if solution ain't valued, it's like, all right, then you sit. You only ones, standing there with the solution in your hands and no one's ears. So it's like, all right, well, fuck it. If y'all want to crash and burn, I don't want to see you crash and burn. But if that's the only way you would get the lesson, then shit, so be it. You know what I mean?
And then also, man, a lot of these people just need to admit that they come to this platform to be entertained. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of I get it. People don't want to come to a platform just to be talked down to because, um, I was told a long time ago that by a few people that they come to these platforms because life is just plain stressful, and they look for ways to deal with their stress. And I do believe that kind of happens with both males and females, but the only
right.
difference is you tell the males to go get therapy. You gaslight the males. So
Yeah. Hmm. I mean, the thing is, I mean, you say it's supposed to be for okay. people use it for stress release or whatever, right? So if they use it for stress release, was it is it that they come here to see that, all right, well, there's problems being spoke of here that's nowhere, you know what I'm saying, near on the level that's actually more greater than what their current problems are. So what is it? Is it, how, pretty chick do, ugly chick, what I'm saying, stand next to a fat ugly bitch or whatever and feel good about herself? I've heard of women doing shit like that. So is that how they treat in the space? They
Man,
hear what brothers have to, somebody have to take issue to and realize that, oh, okay, well, I ain't got it as bad as them or whatever.
yeah. Man, look, let me be like this, man. As much shit as a lot of these guys talk toward each other, I heard some of them guys actually met each other. They actually met the guy that they had kind of a low key beef with, or maybe a
Okay.
beef. And it wasn't none of that shit that they said they was gonna do to each other. when they was on the broadcast.
Right.
You know, it's just the shit like, and I mean, I already know that kind of thing. I mean, I don't care how a person threatens me, on this, on their Wi-Fi connection. They ain't finna do a goddamn thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, it's I don't know. That's why I try to keep the shit playing, man. Ain't nobody trying to get into no shit, because if we get into it, it ain't folk play then. So, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people like to bump their gums, and like, you pretty safe behind a avatar and what I'm saying, microphone and
Hey,
whatever
now,
distance or whatever.
Rogish, now, just for me, just to be smug, I'm starting to encourage the use of avatars.
Word.
Yeah, like for real. Just like I would say, avatar y'all lives away. You know, cause, no, this just for these people like, oh man, y'all ugly, cam up because y'all ugly. Like y'all don't give a damn about that for real. I mean, if the people started saying stuff you agree with, excuse me,
Oh, that's a good. What's that, cookie? Cookie mixed with
no,
white
no,
ranch.
no, 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 that's that saliva getting caught up in my gullet. That's what that's called. But yeah, the no, as long as you say something that these people agree with, they don't care about how you look.
Right.
Yeah, you could be like living my 500-600 pound life, and but if you cutting down the brothers, them motherfuckers will commend you like you appeared in Playgirl. You
Mm.
know,
God damn.
like
Shit,
they
man.
don't care, man. They only want to talk about how you look when they don't agree with what you say. And like I said, and it doesn't fail. It's like you could like I would say all the time, like how rough I get on Facebook. And
Right.
I say all the time, look at my profile, you'll find a picture of me. And no matter how the picture looks, they're always gonna say that I'm ugly or I look like something. You know what I'm saying? It's based on the fact that they don't like you, or what
Right.
you're saying. It's like they try to, what they do is to project. They try to get something like they think's gonna upset you that upsets them. Like
It's
if
a
you
it's
call
a
them
proxy
ugly,
attack on your rhetoric and shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
These are the same kind of people that'll probably cry themselves to sleep in a pillow, and a lot of people don't think about that. I think about life as being that harsh. If you got to do that, then there's absolutely an issue with you. Instead of just getting through
Mm.
the conversation, like I was saying, you can say a person sounds dumb, but prove why they dumb. Prove why they wrong. Show them the wrong. Show them the correct info.
Facts.
A lot of people can't do that. They go to the insults. Oh, you ugly. You ugly. like these dudes like I said, when full grown men sit up there and attack other men's looks, I ask those full grown men, what are you looking for, a good looking man? Is that what you're looking for? You looking for you looking for a stud, wasn't you?
I mean, okay, is this new to the space or what? Is as far as such perspectives?
What do you mean? Yeah, what you talking about? Calling dudes ugly and shit?
Yeah, yeah, like calling
Man,
cats
dude,
out
let me
on
tell you
that or
something. As long
whatever.
as you're a black man that says something that somebody doesn't like, they're always going to attack your looks. I mean, I saw it in the comedy world.
Well,
Shit. Eddie Murphy, shit. Eddie Murphy said this shit about Jimmy Walker. He said, I know Jimmy Walker can get some pussy. I know I can get some pussy. And, they were, Jimmy Walker, okay, for people, like for the audience. Jimmy Walker played J.J. Evans in the sitcom Good Times, the '70s sitcom about Florida and James and Micah and Thelma, who is
Yeah.
still fine by the way.
Ain't she? Ain't she?
Oh my God, man, just wow, just.
Bernadette.
Mm. But
Lady
yeah, it's like
Stains.
yeah, but niggas always gonna attack niggas looks.
Yeah.
We always done that. We played the dozens, but they bring it. But now they're bringing it up here to a level where it's not even like roasting funny. It's just that they call them ugly, and that's the reason why you don't listen to them because they ugly.
Okay.
Even though a lot of these I'm sorry, a lot of these females that say this, they absorb bacon like Majin Buu. Uh, no, I mean they want to call dudes like it doesn't matter, man. I've seen some of the men that these women lay up with just based on the fact that these guys have money and resources.
Right.
Shit, look at Portia Williams. I think her name is Portia Williams or Portia Moore. What? The reality show woman.
Okay.
I actually seen her in person. It's
Okay.
like,
All right. All right.
I mean,
Does she
wow,
does she look like a builder bitch or what? What she look like?
man. Look, she's stacked. I'll just put it to you like that. Like,
All right.
it's like you ask most men yes or no, they're gonna say yes.
Oh,
But
okay. All
like
right.
that's how I perceive her in person.
Right.
But look at the guy she got up with. It was a social media meme for weeks. I think he's African, but he's like rich. But I mean, he doesn't look like Dwayne the Rock Johnson or something like that. No milk and cookies. But I'll say it like that. So why is it that like it's just a goalpost move at the end of the day. I'm not gonna listen to this person because of the way they look.
Right.
And then these are the same people that try to convince me that Lizzo is beautiful.
I mean, well, look. When it comes, like you say, back in the day, when it came to looks, it's just like the old school singers, right? You didn't have to have a certain image to you. You could be so-called overweight, you could be big, you could look so-called ethnic, rough, or whatever. If you had the skills, you had the skills, and that's what it's supposed to be. But for people who
Man, let me
can't
tell you
battle
something.
skill for skill, that's what they got to use.
Let me tell you
Aesthetics.
something. Let me tell you something. I've never walked up to a dude and say you too ugly to be with her. Never, never. I've never done that shit. And if I went around doing that shit, man, you know how many times I would have to do that shit a day.
Oh shit!
Oh my god, man! It's just like, dude.
I have seen said scenario before though, to where like, of course, nigga ain't gonna finna, he ain't gonna fuck up nobody, some shit like that. That's just hating. But eh, we just seen a couple like, wait a minute, how the fuck he get hurt? We did all ask ourselves that question a
Yeah, yeah,
couple
yeah,
of
yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this is a weird. Like
I
no,
see that shit a
nobody's gonna
lot in
walk up.
DC, nigga. Shit, what the fuck?
Like
Black women
like
walking around with non-black dudes who look corny, geeky, and all that shit. And these
Oh yeah,
sisters
yeah,
be
yeah. Believe the
fine in
hype
the
on that one.
motherfucker.
Believe the hype on that one. I've seen that several times. Like
Yeah,
they act like they be like getting with hooking up with dudes with how Zero says it, the God face. Like
yeah.
and it's like they look like Greek gods, whatever. Nah, they don't do that.
Shit.
No, they don't do that. These be like old Peckerwoods. These guys look like overweight science nerds. And I
Yep.
mean, like, and once again, it ain't necessarily because of the looks. It's because these guys got resources.
That's it.
Yeah,
Must be the money. It's turning her out. Must be the money.
yeah. Well,
Shout out
what do
prime
they call
time.
it? What do they call it? Hypergamy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And looks don't mean no motherfucking thing in that.
Yeah, shoot, dog. I mean, now let's not make the mistake. Granted, the guy is what they perceive as good looking. He's probably going to get an easier time
Yeah,
with the females,
yeah.
which is just a natural order of things.
Right.
But getting back to the nature of what I was saying before, um, I don't think that these guys really care about being called ugly by these people. Like, you see Omega Dreads Gaming channel saying the irony is ugly men are calling other men ugly. And see, here's the thing. Here's something I always went by. I think all men are ugly. I mean, like, what up, man? You a beautiful man, goddamn, man. Good man, you a good looking man. Like, how does that even sound?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for real. Even though, like, I'm lying because no, not every man is ugly. That's not true.
Right.
But I'm not gonna sit up there and like, okay,
It,
he's
it's
ugly,
it's
he's not
it's
ugly.
never
I'm not gonna do that.
it's never been a perspective of measurement for a brother measuring another brother. You ain't never measure nigga aesthetics.
Yeah,
It's all I what okay, so let's say it's aesthetics might get them more chicks or whatever. But other than that, some brother was always measuring money or cars or something like, what I'm saying, or clothing or something. Niggas ain't gonna really measure aesthetics like that because so you can compensate in other areas if the aesthetics be, saying somewhat disfavorable to the general population of chicks. That's what your style game comes in on. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I'm not ever like you say a man is well dressed. I mean, you can say that. Well, but it ain't
Home,
like
you say, hey, homie sharp, he gonna get some hoes. That's
yeah,
all it is. You
he
know what I'm saying?
clean, he clean,
He
whatever.
clean,
Shit.
hey,
You can
bro.
say shit like that, but
Yeah, yeah.
like
Shit that your uncle, shit that your uncle would tell you back in the day.
yeah. But I just find it like, but I would like find it something like super weird when like and I'm sure you see this quite often when a woman says another woman is beautiful and that woman obviously is not beautiful. And I mean, like, you don't want to say anything because you're a jerk, you're sexist, you're misogynistic and everything. And sometimes some dudes just plain out, flat out don't give a fuck. But like they be killing me with that shit. Wait, you guys are crazy. She's beautiful. I was like, you gonna have sex with her? I mean, like, no one cares what a woman thinks about another woman's looks because y'all always pick the ugly chicks. I mean, and it's all there is to it. Like, I don't go around saying that women are ugly because that's just mean.
I mean, is
But
is eh, well, but that's the thing that a ugly woman knows she's ugly, but that what I'm saying that's why the other women will lie for
but
them.
I done seen like I mean I done seen a lot of women with like have like boo boo face, but they
Yeah.
bodies be on point, and it's just like it to the point where the face. No, I ain't gonna say that at all. In
No,
all
no, okay,
cases,
but wait a minute. Do you think them chicks know that they ugly or not though? They know if they body banging and they face ain't.
man, I think women are very perceptive about how they look. In
Yeah,
fact, like a lot of these females are very insecure about how they look.
right.
It's just, and this is what I've been told by females. This is not something I've been told by guys. So when a woman says, "Oh, men are insecure," I'm like, "Well, you must be psychic as fuck because I don't see a lot of men that reflect that." I mean, you can tell it in words sometimes, but like
Hmm.
only if they say it. They don't go around looking at the concrete talking about some. Oh my God, it's man, I'm not. Most men
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of women they do, man. It's like they're in competition with each other almost
I
at
mean,
all times.
they can be in competition, but the thing is, for the dudes who like to remain in competition, it's like, all right, so, and this is a question I've always asked: what's the end result? Then you know what I'm saying? Like you were speaking of it earlier, as far as cats one, saying having get together, you know what I'm saying, meet and greet with other brothers and see if you can trade skills or some type of information or something like that. That's how you build community, but a lot of people speak against the community, what I'm saying, or a community within the space. So, I mean,
They
if
speak against a community because of their failed relationships. A lot of them do, and that's not really too fair to say because a lot of them speak against the community aspect because of what they've seen with these single mothers,
Hmm.
and it's just like the refusal to raise a son, period, or daughter. Just blame the guy that they screwed, in the back seat of a car or inside of a hotel room or under the bleachers of a stadium or in a park somewhere, and then got bust all in without the establishment of a home or,
Right.
or
Right.
or a stable situation or even an appropriate age in a lot of these cases.
Mm.
And it's just that the end result be a busted ass community every time. Look, and I've said this repeatedly. Every time I've gone into a neighborhood that is overrun by single motherhood, it's a fucking trash heap. It's a cesspool.
Yeah.
And it's like what the hell is wrong with these so-called strong women? It's just like, why can't you do it? But when I walk into even the worst two-parent neighborhoods aren't as bad as single mom neighborhoods.
You know what? That's a good point. That
Yeah,
is, when you think about it, that is a really good point. Um, I've experienced same.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then no one will admit it. They act like we just out here just bashing women. I hate that shit, bashing black women. Like, man, shut the fuck up, man.
I mean, what it shows the value system. Obviously, the value system isn't the community like that, unless they're obligated to make the community part of their value system. And yeah, apparently that has to be through one of us, right? Um, but the way that, and but also the fact that it doesn't reflect on it's the fact it doesn't reflect on the youth being the future, on their influence that they have on the children, the fact that they're the primary child holder in most situations. It's like, okay, if these children are growing up unruly, you know what I'm saying, that's predicated upon your lack. Because obviously, if the father ain't shit, the father ain't there. You can't call primarily his lack into consideration because they ain't with the motherfucker. You ain't letting them see it. All this, you know what I'm saying? Red tape and yellow tape and shit. Tie motherfuckers up in law and shit. It's like, all right, um, what is it that they care about? They care about their jobs. They care about their work positions. They care about how they appear to each other, not even their own children, but how they appear to another black woman. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's so much of a gynocracy as it is more of a slutty Amazonianism or Amazonism, whatever the fuck.
Mm. All right, what up, Mr. Z?
What's going on? I forgot Rogish was the one that brought Slutty Amazonian into the space.
Space Mr. Z, what it do, bro?
What's going on? What's going on? I remember hearing them sitting. But so I'm at my girl's crib right now. I'm at her parents' house, and we just came from watching the second Spider-Man, the Far Away from Home. Kev, are we allowed to say names in this space? Because I'm about to light some people up in a minute.
Sure.
Okay, so while we're watching that, Zendaya's character, who plays MJ, she's awkward too. It's not just Peter Parker, right? And as
Okay.
I'm watching it, my girl could see like the look on my face. She's like, "This nigga can't enjoy a movie for shit. He's always analyzing something." Right? So
Facts.
I and she paused it and she asked me, "What was it?" And I'll tell her after the movie. And I told her after the movie, like, you know, it I mean, I want to say maybe within this year, it might have been late last year or early this year, I really came to the realization how much women are also awkward and they project their insecurities onto us. Some of these women are themselves, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not having sex, but they're weird and they're awkward and they're insecure, but they project a lot of that shit onto men. And the reason why I
That
asked you
makes
about if
sense.
I can bring names into this space is because I was thinking about Stefco, right? And other women like her, right? Who they're they don't exactly jive too much with black women, let alone black men. They're not white, right? They're not Asian, they're not Latino, so they don't really necessarily fit anywhere, right? But because of that, they find some weird way to blame black men for that because she's weird and awkward, you know? And going into that, you imagine when that woman then has kids maybe and she's a single mom, you know? Because we have to there are that's something I had to come to terms with because growing up you're in your body, right? And so you have your own experiences, and then maybe you can relate to other black men, maybe other men with coming of age and maturing and
Right.
puberty and all that other stuff. It's very interesting when you have conversations with women and they have a completely different outlook on life because of those milestones, right? And a lot of times because the world doesn't hit them upside the head with the hammer the same way it does us, they
Mm-hmm.
get to shirk off those those lack of social skills, that awkwardness, their insecurities, their problems with confidence. They get to shirk that off on, well, it's men and it's colorism and it's featureism and it's texturism and it's like, bitch, have you ever just thought that you're weird? Have you ever just considered that you're just weird?
I
You
mean,
know?
if she falls under, depending on how she presents herself, if she falls under the archetype of the general population, then she ain't gonna be to herself.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Now we get into the conversation is, if you live in a nation full of narcissists, are you still not a narcissist?
Yeah, that's
You
facts.
know? So if you're in a group, if you are weird and awkward and you're in a group of weird and awkward people, that's okay. Mind you, I'm not even really using weird and awkward as a negative. And I'm not using it as a pejorative, but I am saying, like, okay, so you're a little different, you're a little strange. There's nothing wrong with that. But then when you get in general populace that might not necessarily be a little strange, you stand out. And what I
Yeah.
think happens is that particular black girls and black women, they're in that situation, right? So it's kind of the conversation me, you, Toya, and Bruce Almighty were having Rogish a couple months ago, and she was saying what happens when you're the female what's the term that we were using, the like the suburban kid, like the black suburban kid. I forgot the term we used. I forgot what it was, but
Oh, that was a
yeah,
good
and she was.
conversation. I forgot. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
though.
Oh, the educated lane. If you're the
Yeah.
black female educated lane, right? So that's what I'm saying. What happens to the little girls that become women, right? The weirdos, like the
Mm.
and I'm not and I shouldn't say weirdos because that's a pejorative, but you're a little weird, you're a little different. When
Yeah.
I think when they
Quirky.
get into the date quirky, exactly. When
Yeah.
you get into the dating scene and you're weird and you're different and you're quirky, that has a certain lane, right? It may not be all the guys you want. As a matter of fact, most of the guys you want will not be interested. But you have a lane, and I think men learn what our lane is. Yes, sometimes you try to go out that lane and then you get hammered back into it when it comes to dating. I think what ends up happening with women is because men will fuck. They don't ever really get to know what their lane is. And they resent sometimes having to be in that lane. I
Mm.
think a lot of people resent it. But with men, outside of maybe getting money or pretending to be someone you're not, you don't get to get out of that lane, right? You don't get to buy your way into the next lane.
Right.
With women, men will fuck, and men will fuck anything. So you might get lucky and sleep with Usher, but that don't mean Usher will marry you. You might get lucky and Brad Pitt might be desperate one night and you might get to pipe. But that doesn't mean he's gonna marry you. That doesn't mean he's gonna try to make a relationship with you. And I think that's where the things get skewed from women in a way it doesn't necessarily get skewed for men. For men, when you won the lottery and that's why you bought Holly Berry, right?
Right. Right.
Where like where like maybe a chick that might not be traditionally seen as attractive, because the jock in a debt on a desperate night will pipe, she thinks that means something more than just the sex. And if you expand that out to than just the sexual conversation, what ends up happening is that we get into this weird situation once again where people that are a little different, a little strange, a little awkward, a little quirky, like you said, Rogish, they because they can still maybe have one or two conversations with a person that might be considered like the local charismatic dude, the local D boy, the local aspiring basketball player, football player. You know that that person in your neighborhood, even when y'all are adults, that is kind of known by people. People, he's
Right.
the cool dude in the neighborhood. Just because he come through, or he might even find you physically attractive. Just because he piped doesn't mean anything outside of that. And so they get to mask their insecurities behind that until marriage or until childbearing or until they're old enough and they're not young anymore and niggas ain't trying to pipe. Now you're just seen as what you are, just a weird person, you know? So
Mm.
I don't know what y'all think about that. I don't know how far off the topic I am though. I'm sorry.
Well, we got the Roger report in the chat, saying the most important phrase in social media: "Long live the habitual line steppers." And
Long
now
live.
we got nameless up here. So what's going on?
Us.
Loose.
Us.
Us.
Hmm. I was kind of running my mouth in the chat, so we've covered this already, though. So at least that particular thing, how hypergamy tends to scale infinitely, and how unfortunately, I told you guys about the infinite scaling hypergamy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 80-20 becoming another 80-20, and then within that
Becoming another 80
80-20,
20.
right, until there's literally nothing left.
Two
The
niggas left.
Well, the important part about that is what it does to the value system. And so I think this is a big issue in the modern era because we see this manifesting in the space on occasion. And I think we learned this from our mothers and the women in the gynocracy. And I use gynocracy because it ties to more than just sexual access. It's a political structure, and it's baked into the actual culture in and of itself because it informs context for what the culture actually is. And I think the gynocracy, as we know it, separates itself from other cultural paradigms. But the critical factor here is that what the end result ends up being is this idea of fear of more options. And there's an overemphasis on not actually going from point A to point B, but overemphasizing the space in between point A and point B in the form of a hypothetical that never actually manifests because you never actually reach B. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're forever caught in the potential of what it would take for you to go halfway that distance and then halfway that distance and then halfway that distance ad infinitum. If you've seen that spiral explanation of the Fibonacci code, and how it spirals into infinity.
Yeah.
I call that the void between A and B. And that's exactly the problem of the culture right now in general. In modern society, but hypergamy runs down this trope, and the decision-making process becomes dominated by the potential of what you could get rather than just simply getting something. And men overall, we don't suffer from that when it comes to our biological imperative. Because ultimately we don't get caught up in the potential of, all right, well, I could get this box that, may have this slight adjustment and may show up with this hip to waist ratio dynamic. Once certain things are met that are very, very basic, we're going to be and calling it a day.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that idea fundamentally goes against a biological imperative that is in female nature, and it was originally designed as a protection mechanism and likely led to how human beings occurred today. Because the issue ends up being that we have a dual consensus mating dynamic, meaning she not only has to choose you, you got to choose her too. And at a certain point, especially when we get into the realm of commitment, our interest, our goal in investing in a woman is to procure a gateway that's going to produce whatever we put in there.
Right.
We're not going to invest in a gateway that's going to bring out random stuff that we didn't call for, if that makes sense.
You know, Nameless, when you were speaking, the way you described it, the way it hit my brain is men are not so busy trying to play the lottery. We're out there trying to get it because you might play the lottery, but you don't put all your eggs in the basket of when you win. You know it's a if, and it's a super tiny, teeny, tiny if. Where women, they really be counting on if they win the lottery. That shit's scary, yo.
Well,
Look,
you got to look at it. They bear the burden of reproduction, right? So they're the ones
Yeah.
that got to have a kid. So, like, you can see where the intention is behind the programming. The issue is in this environment, that protection mechanism ends up behaving a lot like how glucose does in your body when you have high fructose corn syrup going all over the damn place and you just got diabetes.
mm,
It's a natural thing that has a positive undertone that literally ends up killing you ultimately and undermining your best interests rather than looking out for them because people are not being responsible of the condition of the environment and the long-term effects of that. Because it's one thing if only a couple people are doing this, but this is the new standard. Like, how do you, as a man, how do you really navigate this
Ooh.
using the software that generally most men get handed to them in this current era? I don't see it working.
You know, I so oh man, the, what you say, I posed the question to women with that, right? And if y'all seen any of my comments over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, all over the internet, I've been asking this question, like, and I've said it blatantly. Okay, if 5% of niggas is on this, maybe not incel shit, but kind of like, you know what? I'm not doing this with women. I'm not dating. I'm staying home and I'm jacking off and playing video games. If 5% of men do that, y'all ain't gonna feel it like that. 10% y'all will feel it. But when you get in young men that are they're just not engaging, and more sociologists are saying like, yo, these young men are just dropping out of society. They're essentially they're saying that we in the West are practicing the laying flat Chinese movement, but obviously we didn't come up with that term, and people are now kind of coming up with what that means.
it's
But
not yet
if you,
hikikomoriism, is it?
I mean, not that. It's not all the way to Japanese level. Niggas ain't locking themselves in their
Well,
house,
no,
but
it's the same as the herbivore men dynamic because, and that's what I
yes,
said in my
yes,
video.
exactly,
The
exactly.
issue, the issue, and I think it was a clause. I said the problem isn't with the psychologists aren't the ones that are concerned. The ones that are concerned are the economists because
Mm,
what's happening is they're suffering a profound brain drain. Because why in the world? And you got to be honest about the nature of men. And I'll be
mhm,
honest with myself also. The only reason why I even remotely had the idea of pursuing making money wasn't so I could have money so I could go spend it on bullshit. It was so that I could have money so I could potentially provide for a family because that's the main thing I got drilled in my head over and over and over again. If you want to get A, B, and C done, you need money to do it. If you want to take care of a family, you got to have money. And then
Right.
if it wasn't that, it was the anecdotal evidence of that of I don't want
mhm,
any children I have to go through what I did. So
mm,
contrary to the general narrative that's typically offered, most men don't pursue economic power for their own sake. They do it as a means of presenting themselves worthy of a family.
Nice.
So what
mm,
that does is it stimulates the economy in a tremendous way because if these dudes are getting money so that it can ultimately be handed to women, and the economy has calibrated itself to adjust for that. And more specifically, not just the business sector, but the government sector looks at that as a means of running the country in the form of taxes.
Mm,
mhm,
You are now left in an economic scenario where you've got an aging population and nobody that's making enough money to actually tax or replace the jobs that they're walking out from or the healthcare
mhm.
system that they're going to rely on in their later years. You are going to implode from the top down.
You know, when you said when you said that, I was thinking to myself, Nameless is so much more mature than me because I've been trying to get this money to fix my car, and I
I'm
mean,
just
like,
keeping it 100, fam.
look,
You
look,
also got to
look.
remember I'm older than you too, so
This is true. I mean, like, number one, I mean, yes, I'm in a relationship, but in time this yet because yes, the money matters, and I feel the crunch now being in this serious relationship than I ever have in my 35 years of life, right? And it's because now I know, okay, you need to get this knocked out now because if you don't, then you will be that 65-year-old dude with the rusting car in the garage talking about one day, right? And I really don't want to be that guy, right? So, Nameless is right. Now every dollar I make more is not enough. I keep on like I literally just acquired another job. I'm going to be making significantly more than I make now, and I already calculated it, and I'm like, oh, okay, still not enough, right? And
Right, but you
just
see how
go ahead, go ahead.
you see how that ends up creating the scenario of concern though, because if
Yeah.
men in general decide it's not worth it,
Mm,
you can't shame these dudes into doing something. Like the number one reason why a lot of those herbivore men were doing what they were doing is because the just outrageous expectations women had
yeah.
on the men that were there. Like
Yeah.
they never actually fully recovered from that economic crash they experienced in the
Since the
90s.
80s, yeah. Since the late
But
80s, early 90s, yeah.
but Japan has this culture where the women typically run the finances. And there's a general axiom when it comes to relationships of if you don't make the same amount, if not more money than your father did, then you're being lazy. And that that's part of a relic of the Edo period
Hmm.
that followed after the economic boom that took place after World War II when they got into the auto manufacturing and electronics
Hmm.
manufacturing. They were able to companies had a big responsibility in that because they were actually taking care of the people. You can go
Yep.
sign up and join Toyota, and it was no different than joining a daimyo back in the day as a samurai. Like you
And you
got a
retire
stipend,
from Toyota.
man. You got a
Hmm.
stipend. You got a social network. All you
Hmm.
had to do was show up, and anything that happened, your boss and your supervisor would take care of everything. They wouldn't even hand you your check. That money would go straight to your wife. In fact, it was your wife going to your work to pick up your check every day.
Same thing like over here.
God damn.
Yep. Yeah. No,
So,
Nameless is right. Not to mention Nameless, the fact that the women, even if they were working, when they got pregnant, they stopped working. Not to forget that part.
well, I just mean more so the
Hmm.
incentive for men to be involved in that system. And let's just remember, like, that's not even getting into the workload expectation. Like a lot of those
Yeah.
people, man, they hardly ever made their way home. They were working literally all day, and it was just custom. Like after work, everybody goes to the bar and drinks, and it wasn't no saying no, I ain't gonna do it. It's yeah, you gonna go. And so like the amount of time you had those dudes there and the stress that amounted ultimately was just it was a lot. And then after a while, a lot of those jobs started getting outsourced, and then folks stopped getting those retirement pensions. And it's like, man, if I ain't getting these benefits, why am I working my ass off like this? So
Nameless,
that's
I'm sorry to be laughing, but Kev, you want to read Roger's last comment? Or Rogish, you want to read it?
What you say? Oh
It
shit.
says hypergamy can be used as a synonym for greedy bitches.
Greedy bitches.
I
Mm.
mean, it didn't originally start that way. I mean, this is where Nameless is going, right? Like, I mean, it's hypergamy during the days of sheep herding is completely different than hypergamy now, right? Hypergamy now, especially, and you were touching on this a couple nights ago, Nameless. Hypergamy now with Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and
yeah,
TikTok. I mean,
yeah.
that
It's
you
social
put hypergamy
diabetes.
on a space rocket. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's social diabetes.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
accurate. That's very accurate.
You already know the only way to fix that, right? And how many are
Amputation.
actually going to do it?
Amputation.
Yeah.
You got to
That
stop. That ain't
it,
happening though.
I don't really, and this is why and I said this to Nameless off off YouTube, like this is why sometimes I sound dark because I do think some of us will be okay. I'm not. It's not so much for those of us that'll be okay. I just don't want to live in a world where I'm that deathly afraid for my kids because 80% of us are starving. I just don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in that world. That 80/20 rule is not, it's not just a sexual thing. It's going to be a way of life across the board for everything.
Facts.
economics, sex, relationships, people with connections, like all of that. And I just don't want to live in the world where maybe I'm not in the top 20, maybe I'm maybe a couple percentage points under that, but I don't want to live in that world. That's a
But
deadly
but
scary world.
the way that this society is progressing, that's the only end result. Well, that ain't the only end result, but that's like step five before the end result.
Well,
But
it's
it's
the likely probability
yeah.
Yeah.
if no real true intervention happens. And to be honest with you, man, it's not even going to be 80-20. It's going to be 5-95. I'm going to
Who
just
wants to
keep it
live in that
100.
world?
I
Who
mean,
wants to live in
if
that
that's
world?
the
I'm sorry,
only
News, go ahead.
world you know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
how would you know? And it's not
That's true.
like we need to understand, like, that's the truth, the shinjutsu, the actual genjutsu is
Hmm.
going to be everybody's 50-50.
Mm, yeah.
You ain't lying. That's the biggest
That's
solution in the world.
that's what I want to highlight
Nice.
here, because no one's going to come out and tell you it's 5-95.
Right.
It's going to be presented as 50-50, and everything you don't have is because you ain't working hard enough. Period.
Shout
No,
out to
no, no, no,
meritocracy.
no matter how much inflation hit, you
Nope.
still ain't working hard enough.
Look, here's this one out of 50, 100,000 people. You understand what I'm saying? That succeeded. You lazy.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's the narrative. I mean, it's the narrative now, but I
I
mean,
was about
that's
to say
gonna be
that.
the gospel.
That's what I was
This
literally gonna say. We
is
live on a planet. Okay, we live on a planet with what 2,800 billionaires, something like that, 20, something like that, right? About seven. I've seen numbers ranging from 600 and something to about 720 billionaires in America alone. But America got like 340 million people. So you
Right.
got 720 billionaires, and that becomes the new bar.
Yep.
Mm.
How?
I mean,
Mm.
How?
look, you already got 100,000 being, entry level to being a human being in the black community, but you
Yeah,
got less than, I
true.
think they said 75% of the average income among men is barely hitting 50K.
Yeah, something. I
Wow.
think 1/3 of income earners in America earn 50 or more, something like that. But even BGS covered this, and I saw this myself. Something like 40 some odd percent of Americans earn $15 an hour or less. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how do
Look,
you see what I'm saying? Like
you
when
in
people
abject
talk,
poverty talking about I want 100K. Like,
you
man,
see what I'm
look,
saying? Don't
look,
forget the debt. Don't forget the debt.
again, the genjutsu. And see, the crazy thing about neurology is this is really, some sinister crap going on. Like, there's got to be some woo-ha-ha crap going on with some
Got to.
folks in an underground base in Antarctica somewhere
Yeah.
that probably got scales, but I digress.
Mhm.
Our neurology, our neurology. Let me stop before I get his channel shut off. Like,
Yeah, you know how they feel about conspiracies and
Nameless trying to
right.
get
tinfoil hat
kidnapped,
stuff.
right?
Like our neurology struggle is very difficult to chemically, and I mean biochemically, tell the difference between images we see on the screen and images that
Yep.
happen in person.
Mhm.
And I think that's very important because they infer a measure of conditioning and programming. Like when you can associate positive things and positive images and you psychologically associate it with yourself, there's a
Mhm.
lot of
Mhm.
living vicariously through the images and the content folks
Mhm.
consume going on that
Yep.
really program a population on a very deep level. And they do it at a level now where it's not even needing to make symbolic gestures towards earlier conditioning. They can just straight up condition you out the gate because you are 1, 2, 3 years old on social media already.
Yep.
And
I
Wow.
re,
your
I rem, go
neurology
ahead,
is
go ahead.
already calibrated to really pick up on that. Go ahead, Rogish.
No, I'm just saying.
Go
So
ahead,
that
Ruckus,
mean
after I
that there
finish.
doesn't have to be any historical linkings to any earlier programmings.
Nope.
As a
It-
matter of fact, they want to
it-
wipe the history.
Well, they can keep the history there. It's just a non-issue. Like if you've got a freaking 6, 7 year old, right, and they've already got a foundational base on communicating primarily through electronics, that means all of those neural pathways that are tied to the
Already
sympathetic
said. Yeah.
connection of being able to relate with folks is already compromised or
Yeah.
grossly underdeveloped. And so people are going to begin cultivating personalities that are going to adapt to the actual environment they're coming into. And
Mm,
that second sword form is going to have to account for not just the social environment, but I'm going to have to include a virtual environment now
Mm-hmm.
as a parameter to describe environment that's
so
influenced by technology and culture, because there's going to be a new pseudo culture that forms in the virtual environment, because the environment will be augmented by VR, and not just VR in the sense that people think, visual images, etc., but the constant connection of being on the internet by virtue of implants, and the way that changes how you communicate with others in the social environment. There's going to be a virtual persona that will in and of itself create a
mhm.
whole new ecosystem that will operate differently than the general social environment we are used to, and we're already starting a lot of the groundwork for that by being online talking to each other now.
Mhm.
You know what?
Out.
This almost sounds like technological Uruguayanism, if you will,
Well,
because
Oh, the whole
you.
disconnect between like
yes, because there
yourself and
has to
others.
be
Yeah.
there has to be a split. There has to be a permanent split in identity, well, if not a kaleidoscope split of identity of self, but being able to
Oh.
operate
But
within.
see, but see, here's the thing. And I think this is where we run into the fundamental aspect of what it means to be a human.
Mhm.
Since human beings are still at the core of this, there's two potential polarities. One, a polarity that understands the concept of Bantu Ubuntu, which means I'm a person because there are people.
Right.
And then there's the animating polarity of I am me and you are you. And due to there being an aspect of my greater than you, I'd reserve the right to conquer you.
Mm.
So
We know
these
who
are
those are.
two completely different rhythms. And at this point, it's whoever, to
Mhm.
decide what way they want to go. Do they want to go on the dark side, rule of two, Bane era, or do they want to go with Luke's Academy? You understand what I'm
Star
saying?
Wars
Like,
reference for y'all.
but this is where we're at with it ultimately, because you can use a lot of this technology and help so many people. It's not even funny. There's so many
Mhm.
ways that you can assist folks with the fourth industrial wave that's incoming that would completely change the world. A lot like how Nikola Tesla wanted to do.
Mhm.
Or you've got the other side to that where you can restrict things so aggressively that you can artificially manipulate the environment to create scarcity or a false scarcity and have people compete with each other
Shout
who
out to
would
the
normally
Beers.
cooperate with one another.
Facts.
Mhm.
And I
You
mean,
know.
it can serve as an excellent tool to control people. But then who's what does that say, for the progression of human beings? So like when we
It's,
get into the Urugu idea, I just wanted to highlight that
yeah.
as a dynamic, because we've got people from all sides of the spectrum picking one of those sides and running with it.
Mm.
You know. I wanted to first talk shit to Roger, but he's in the comments because I told him like a year ago. No, I told him like a year ago exactly what Nameless said. There's a certain percentage of our population that cannot distinguish entertainment that they're watching from reality. Yeah. So, and I think social media has definitely made that worse. Number one. Number two, we are watching the seeds of what Nameless is speaking about. I mean, if you talk to young people under the age of I want to say about 25, you'll see how much they care about the likes on their pictures and the and how they play with, well, not even just under 25, but how people play with filters and stuff like that, and their social presence, I would argue, might be more important to them than their real life presence, right? Because in your real life, you're maybe interacting with a couple dozen people a day, if even, right? Where online, your picture or whatever you post on IG,
Potentially
it's it,
thousands, hundreds of
it, it,
thousands.
thousands, hundreds, exactly. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, and those people don't know you in real life, so you can put on a facade until you, right. It puts a new spin on fake it till you make it, right. You could put on that facade to in a
And
way
you know
that you
what?
can never before. Go
Those
ahead.
likes do release serotonin. So I
Mm,
mean, you know, what I'm saying
yeah,
people can
you see.
I bet it doesn't take too long for people to get addicted to.
But that's what I
And
was
imagine that
talking
at
about.
14 years old.
But well, no, that's happening as early as 5 and 6.
I'm about to say, yeah,
You
imagine
see.
around
I mean,
seven.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you can't reprogram that, man? Like your
Nah,
neurology is calibrated for that. Your whole worldview is done. Like,
that
Yeah.
that's that new human shit.
Well, there goes
so
your answer, nameless. Like, what does, well, more roguish because you asked the question, but like, and me and my girl were literally just having this conversation maybe an hour ago. I was like, but the way we're fighting a battle, and I think BGS has come to terms with this, but we're fighting a battle, and we're speaking about this now in 2021, about to be 2022, because we're kind of, I want to say, Xers, millennials, and Gen Z are kind of this in between generation. But like me and Nimbus have said before, Alpha are not going to be having this conversation. Beta are not going to be having this conversation, and
Nah,
definitely Alpha's children. If we don't get it together yesterday, it's done. The way we see human beings, the way we even conceptualize communication, like Nameless was saying, it's it will be forever gone. I don't see that coming back. If you don't fix it now, because technology will only demand that you communicate in these new ways more and more. We already see it when you apply for a job. When's the
here's
last time you applied for a
we
job on paper?
here's
we
what
got
has to
You know?
5 years.
here's what has to
We have
happen.
5 years thanks to
Yeah.
old Meta. We have
Here
5 years, and then the
here's what
shit's
has to
I
done.
happen.
I agree.
We have to, if anything is going to get anywhere outside of this hive model that everyone's being primed for, if you want an alternative to the hive model, the only thing you can do is reestablish trust. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know. I've got absolutely no clue how on earth you do that.
Yeah,
Not now. And again, for black men in particular, in general, in the ADOS tribe, I still advocate globalism, being a global citizen, and really push forward being the moral compass for human beings and leaning on original man status. I think that's it. I mean, you can try to make things work here, but the amount of concessions you're making may exceed the goals that you're looking for. If your end goal really is family that you'll have an agency over as a father with the intention on passing on legacy, it's at a point now where you're at lottery range for this stuff. Like, I'll
I
never
agree.
deter someone from getting married and doing all of that. I ain't gonna say not to do it. In fact, I'm cheering for you. But people need to not be delusional, stop treating 1% like it's 50 just
facts.
because it's not zero. Like that's unrealistic. And people would find that they don't have to stick to this gynocratic definition of family. Like, we understand the gynocracy doesn't acknowledge children that don't come from an ADOS gate. Okay, fine. What's your goal as a black man? Do you want black children? Then go look at another culture, because there's black women all over the damn earth. You can
Right.
work with that. It don't need to be on some, muhaha, F y'all, I'm out. I mean, you've got your own agency to do what you want to do. It's just folks need to stop gaslighting each other about,
Agency nameless. What's this word you use? A black
right.
man in agency.
I cursed just now. My bad, Kev.
Right?
I ain't supposed to say that with black men in the same sentence and shit. Fuck wrong with me. But that's where we at, fam. Like, people just need to sit down and really look at the bigger picture, because the world really is getting that much smaller. And you'd be shocked at how much you had no idea you were repressing, being seen as a non-entity entity.
Mm,
That getting the portfolio of American can instill a deeper level of humanity in you than being a black man in the United States on occasion. It's crazy. I think everybody in the ADOS tribe with the classification of black deserves the right to know what that feels like at least once in your life.
Hey, listen up, fellas.
Hmm.
Um, it just happened.
uh oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
What went
you
down?
got the dislike? Uh-oh.
Yes.
Now I'm feeling objectified by your male gaze. Damn.
Damn, son, where'd you
Oh
find
my
this?
god. As soon as we start talking about that, then it comes up. You're
Right.
not even surprised.
What was the dislike over? What? God damn!
Man,
How you
who
objecting any
I
of
knows?
that
told you I
past
named
heat?
this agency and black man in the same sentence, and it was a wrap.
Right.
There it
Right.
go.
That,
Right.
that 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 had to be it. How
Yep.
dare you bring this
Right.
Right.
dislike?
Right. Oh my god, Kev. That's hilarious.
Damn.
I mean,
Look,
that's the
y'all,
state of shit, fam. We property, apparently. Let them tell it.
y'all know why
Absolutely.
we were shipped over here to the west, especially ADOS. Y'all know. Stop it.
Mm.
Agency. If you don't get your ass back on that plantation ASAP pronto,
Bro, I need the solid balls. Oh my god.
right?
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
don't
man, I
know.
mean, like
No,
we
Mr.
do
K.
live in that world. I mean, and I think that's my only fear. It is, bringing children into a world where, th- I've been kind of going down the rabbit hole, and this is why it's taking me so long to put up my next video of hyper individualism, right? And like how it's just completely ripping society apart. And then you add social media kind of tickling our narcissistic bone, right? And it's just, you can't form anything. You won't organize, you won't unionize, you won't, like this whole collective word, we might as well throw collective out the damn English vocabulary. It's done, right? Because like this insane next level self interest and selfishness and narcissism and hyper individuality, you couple that with there being a profit motive to keeping some of us single because we spend more money single than we do in relationships. And I'm not talking about those of us with a penis. Um, so I, I don't there is a way to pull this back, but it would have to be a concerted effort. And to have that concerted effort, you would have to have at least enough people aware and understanding how this turns dark really fast, like in our lifetime fast. But I
It,
don't
ha-
Male
know how
it,
you
ha-
scarcity
do
is the
that.
only thing that'll make that happen. And honestly, it's why I don't say anything about folks wanting to look at other groups of females. Like,
Yeah.
as long as you're animated with the purpose and the women that you're getting involved with are there to be force multipliers, who cares? But
right.
the issue is they want an ADOS society, and the cultural seed is so corrupt at this point. You can't you can't grow you can't put watermelon seeds in the earth and then expect apples, like I said. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Our cultural seed is designed to produce slaves. And unless we make a concerted effort to change the nature of that seed, man, it's just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. You can create favorable conditions to grow something else. You can. That's what we do. It's our job. You can present the money. You can present the mind state. You can even present to a certain extent a network. But the problem is going to be the gate itself. If the gate is hell bent on producing another servant that's key to her getting emancipation on some having flashbacks from the baby farm type nonsense, you're going
Yeah.
to be contending with her social network, and then the tsunami of freaking conditioning that all of those other women coming from the institution have. And the only way you
Whew.
do combat that is by having another network of individuals with a mutual goal in mind to actually push that tide back. And that's what the culture is supposed to do. So we've created a need ID to get ID scenario. I don't know how you do that when the women are the main ones perpetuating this, animated from a sense of not having her needs met and having that daggone trauma inherited epigenetically. Because we know they're getting it from the mothers. The fathers aren't doing this crap.
And during the most abundant time in world history, you're complaining about not getting your needs met during the most abundant time in human history. Like we're almost on the cusp of like just making things appear out of thin air type shit. And this is the time you're speaking about not getting your needs met. You can work, you can make your own money. As a matter of fact, under a certain age, you are making more money than your male counterparts. So like this, it's to me, it's okay. The way I
Oh no,
describe it is
I
more
just
and
saw this
more
picture.
more and more puzzle pieces, right? Like the more and more puzzle pieces you acquire and you put together, the more the picture makes sense, right? I'm looking at people with so many puzzle pieces, and yet they still can't make sense out of the picture, right? This is a sailboat. What are you talking about? Like this is a sailboat. Why are you talking about cars or clouds or streets? Your picture is a sailboat. And I'm watching people acquire, they got the education and they have the money and they have the lifestyle, and yet they're speaking about not having enough. Like, what are you talking about? And this goes back to
Like name the sets. That's the genjutsu right there.
is wanting to be that
That's
top 20%. And so much of it is not even really the top 20%. Let's be honest, they'll settle for that. It really is that top 1, top 5%. And that's we who
but
doesn't want to be that person? But how much are you willing to bash or insult or demean other people because they can't get you there or because you can't get yourself there?
well, it's the thing is, what should be looked at is their desire to want to be there in the first place. Like how bad do they want to be there to where they're projecting an illusion of value as opposed to that which they're so they working with. Like y'all said, 1/3 of people under 50 G's, right?
I'm
Like,
sorry, Rogan. Nameless just sent me the picture.
fuck y'all laughing at, cuz.
Damn, we gotta find a way for Rogish to see
Hey,
this
yo,
picture,
I
bro.
got you, Rogish. Hold up.
Hey, there's a video like the
Oh
video I sent
shit.
you a couple months ago, nameless that well, homegirl was like, I need me a man that do this, and that, and then you see somebody put change in her little cup and she laid out on the ground in front of a building or some shit,
Right,
homeless.
right. Yeah, that was a meme, but no,
Yeah,
I don't think this is a
this one is
meme
not a
right
meme.
here.
This looks like it's real.
I think it's legit, man. That's
But
some
go ahead. I'm sorry,
bullshit.
Rogish. I cut you off. My
Nah,
bad.
nah,
Go ahead. Go
you.
ahead.
I'm gonna see the picture. Y'all go ahead. Wait a minute. Put it
Yeah,
on
I'm trying
Instagram.
to hold on. I'm trying to show it to you. If I can
But
find
yeah,
your
man.
damn name. How many people message me? Fuck. There you go. All right.
Man, but I mean, but okay. Here's something to, and I'll just let me get this story out real quick, Rogish, while you're looking at that. I don't know if y'all ever checked out. It was a video on IG. Maybe was it a year ago now? It might have been a year ago now. And it was an African sister, maybe caramel skin, and she was talking. And she was saying something like, um, "Who wants to build?" And I come with this, and I come with that. And she put on her little Nigerian accent, and and she's like kind of talking like all this building stuff. What are y'all talking about, right? And if you look in the background while she was speaking, you could see the family portrait. Let me make this short for y'all. She was in her parents' house saying that shit. Right. So she was in her parents' house talking about not building and coming to the table with all this stuff and who's and she just was selling out while she was in her parents' home. And that goes to show you like there's a lot of these particular individuals who are talking about not building and not wanting no dusty and you're living at your parents' home.
But what did I say earlier about the neurology not being able to tell the difference between a vicarious experience and a real one?
Exactly.
So what we're dealing with is a dopamine overload and a dopamine addiction.
Facts.
So like you literally get hooked to these things. Like there's going to be a new branch of psychology that's going to have to start investigating this stuff because there's going to be people who are
Yeah.
just neurologically blown the fuck out from a lot of these things that are showing up. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like if you've got signs of withdrawal that look no different than being addicted to drugs because of the technology, that's an issue they have to address if they want to maintain a consumer base. I
Mm,
mean,
but
it's just facts.
but the thing is, if the consumer base goes total drone, that'll be even better because then they can start affecting the
I mean,
population
the
numbers
thing,
out in the
the
open.
thing, the thing is, they've got to have a transition period. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the
Mm.
transition period where they're least likely to have the controls for that. So you can't have folks go full vegetable out the gate. You see what I mean?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's the transition period that's the issue.
Like
So,
now.
and what we are in the middle of a lot of different transition periods, which is why, again, I keep really emphasizing that sword form, man. Like, environment is the superposition of civilization and culture.
Right.
I mean, it stuff is changing so aggressively that the systems that govern the environment are changing things rapidly, and new systems are not only working differently, there's new systems being introduced that we may not even realize. So obviously with that there's opportunity, right? But you can't go off of the default settings that most of us got coming up.
You know, so Rogus, you weren't there. We were on Sheets panel a couple of nights ago, and I read a certain segment of the she economy to Nameless into the panel and to whoever was listening on the chat, and it was
Right.
essentially so Morgan Stanley put out this report a couple years ago now, right? And it's like the rich white boys are pretty much planning on all these single women and how much money they're going to make off of these single women because single women spend more money than married women, number one. Number two, obviously, they're not.
Oh, they got him.
Just
My
made
fault.
it.
My
You.
apologies. No, 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 no. It was my screen. I'll let my screen lock. My apologies. I was about to say that when Rogan said they got him, I'm like, oh God, I'm gone. They got me. I was like, oh, they really got me. No, but no. So the something like between the ages of 25 to 44, something like 45% of women are going to be single in that cohort. And when they say single, I think they just mean not married, right? But still, that's a huge chunk of people between the ages of 25 to 44.
Yeah.
45% single. That's
Yeesh.
insane. And that's
Yeesh.
starting between 2018 to 2030. So we can imagine if they reforecast that number in 2030, what the single rate is going to be.
Hold up,
And this is women
single
in
and
general, not
probably
just
out of
black women.
work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
and I
they're
thought,
gonna blame that on the dudes. You just gotta
yeah,
be more aggressive and alpha your way through this shit, man. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
This is
You
how it is, cuz.
you gotta get a game. You
You
gotta
know what I'm
have a
saying?
game.
You know what I'm saying? Go
I
holler
mean,
at that bitch while she called the police on your ass because you
Right?
don't know how to talk to nobody. Ain't but a few days, you know what I'm saying?
hey, nameless in rare form today.
It's been trope too. Shit.
I'm just
Right.
saying, man, like I,
It,
I can't.
to me, yo, like I think what it bothers me because I'm like used to having answers, some cockamamie something, and this is the first time in my life, my little 35 years of life, where I'm like, what the hell? Like what? And it's like, and once again, right, at least for right now in my life, I'm okay, right? So I'm not necessarily even thinking about me per se. I'm thinking about the society I live in and the fact that I don't want to be looking over my shoulder every 5 seconds because niggas are starving or niggas are single or niggas are miserable. I
Call
don't
it
want to
mate
have to fight a
guarding.
nigga because, go ahead.
Mate guarding.
Yeah. So
That's
you're
your
already, that's
life
exactly
now,
where I was about
man.
to go. That's exactly
That's
where I
your
was about to
life
go.
now, fam. Even roguish to an
Jesus,
extent, man. That's your life now. Like it's
Jesus
Well,
Christ, yo.
niggas in Dallas, they already live out of pocket when it comes to that shit. Them niggas will look your woman right in the face with you next to her. It's like that's some hating
right,
shit they got out
You
here.
see,
But
right.
and nameless stole the words. That was literally going to be my next point. Literally was going to be my like. I really don't want to have because like okay, my girl is light skinned. She got a bubble, right? And I'm like, oh, come,
Wah,
oh, I
wah,
really don't want to
wah.
deal with the bullshit. I really don't want to deal with the bullshit, bro.
hold up,
I
you went to
really
South
don't.
too, so
Yeah,
yeah.
bruh, and
Oh
and
my
you like,
god.
it's
I
just like,
told Toya that
oh,
she's like, I'm
bro.
not light skinned. I'm like, look, your
No,
ass
Don't
in
Toya light
matter.
skin.
Dallas,
She
you
better
gonna be
stop it.
motherfucking considered
She's
light skinned, nigga.
Yeah,
it don't matter if you're female, look recognizably female.
Yes.
exactly.
And she's roughly non-refrigerator shaped.
Right, right.
The closer the hip
Refrigerator or refrigerator period.
right. I don't know, man. Some people they be having preferences.
If she don't look like a
Unless
Hummer
your
H1,
chick like if your chick don't look like Jabba the Hutt, and even if she do, you know what I'm saying, depending on what crowd you find yourself around, you might want
hey,
to be
why you
careful.
bullshitting, nameless? For real.
Right. You better have your chick
You,
wrapped the fuck up
hey,
in the whip
I
at
don't.
all times. I mean, this
I'll give
Oh,
shit
you a
crazy, fam. They gonna be
short
spitting that.
story. I was when I used to work in Boca, nicer, ritzier area. for the first time, and this is going back to what Rogish and Kev were talking about earlier about air quotes good looking dudes. I ain't gonna lie, I was in the Boca Mall and I seen this like Diesel brother, one of the brothers, that he be pulling girls, and he was with like this chubby ass fugly looking white girl. And for the
Fucking
first time
big
in my
shit.
life, I was like, oh, this is what the sisters be talking about. Oh, okay, okay, okay. This is what sisters be talking. Because even me as a straight black man, I was like, nigga, stop. What are you doing with her?
What are you
Don't do that.
doing
Don't
now?
do that. Don't do that. I was like, nigga, no.
Like nigga,
Please tell me that's not your
capitalize,
girlfriend.
boy,
I was
capitalize.
like, nigga, she better be paying your bills. I better see y'all jump in a bins. I better see y'all jump in a bins. Because
Man,
this
this shit
this is
crazy.
ridiculous.
It's crazy. I'm telling you,
But
like the power
you never
thirst
know what
is
he did,
out
what she
here.
did for him. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you
A lot
know
of
what?
people
Hold
want to
up,
know.
brother. You should be bro code to protect your homie from ugly hoes, though. You know what I'm saying? Back in the
Bro,
day.
I didn't know him. That's the only reason I wasn't like, bro, what are you doing? What do you stop?
Yeah, for real.
I
She
don't
she
know, man.
better
At
be
this
rich,
point,
nigga. She better
it,
be rich.
at this point, you can understand then how the gate's gonna be wide open for these white
Yeah,
Mm.
dudes. I'm
yeah,
telling you, when the
yeah.
AI merges with automation and these robots, and you can end up smashing Siri, it's gonna be a wrap.
Shout out to Black Uru.
Right.
To Black Uru.
Right. Shout out to Black. When niggas can fuck Siri, it's a it's a
What
wrap.
Rogish? What's the name of the other one? What's the name of the
What's the name of
Alexa? Yeah.
it? Alexa.
Yeah, I want to smash Alexa,
When
cuz.
they could smash up Siri and Alexa, y'all gone.
Wow.
Hey, when he did that, I was dying. I was like,
It's
it's true though.
facts.
It's
It's
true because
facts, man.
and
So
Um,
and
so
this is
so
what I
so
was
so
trying to
now so now
go ahead.
we should be asking ourselves, what the fuck are we trying to protect, and what is there to preserve?
I mean,
Humanity as
your
we know it.
sanity.
Get the
I mean,
fuck
that's
out of
why.
here. Look, humanity is done.
I don't know, man. I
These
think a
youngsters are
certain
born understanding how to scroll these phones, cuz that's
but
Yeah, you're right.
I
humanity
think a
done.
pocket of this is going to remain unmolested. I really do think,
Zion
the,
and
the
shit.
very top is I think the very bottom 5%, bottom 10, bottom 5 to 10%, and the top 5 to 10% are gonna stay relatively normal. And
I
that's
agree.
still consistent with the Pareto distribution. Because
Mm.
that leaves everybody else to effectively be affected to varying degrees of the bullshit. But I do think, men and women in the general society, when we run into this hive dynamic, the idea man is going to be designated to vitamin D dispenser only. And the overwhelming majority, I'm telling you, fam.
So we
It's,
all gonna be Mr. 3 o'clock in the morning?
I mean,
Oh
whoever's
shit,
left,
bro.
unless you busy plugged into your VR scan, you know what I'm saying, doing what
Nigga.
you do in a completely different world.
No
And I
robo,
mean, that's
nigga.
repulsive to a lot of us sitting here, but for a lot of people right now, I mean, go look at a lot of what the black pill sphere is talking about. They're
Yeah,
banking, they're salivating for this.
yeah, they are.
And
They
then,
are. No, roguish
you
they are
got
because that's their way of.
I'm 100,
Go
but
ahead, go ahead,
like
Nemesis.
here's the issue. Like
He said
you could
salivate.
be mad about it,
Mhm.
try to control it, integrate with it, but the overwhelming majority of people are just going to be indifferent towards each other. And like,
All right.
I don't think we've ever seen a society like that. It's going to
Mm,
be the rule of indifference.
yeah,
And that's what's going
yeah.
to really open the gate for all of that. Like when trust is out the window and everybody's indifferent towards one another, that's the
Mhm.
future at this point. And it's not going to be until folks really get to, again, that Darth Bane rule of two type nonsense at the very top
Mhm.
Yeah.
versus the, free society at the other end at the very bottom. It's like those are your options. Indifferent, being everybody's property, or being on Team Muhaha. That's what you
Eh,
got waiting on you.
I'm ready for that Sith
That's
life, man.
horrible.
Let's go ahead and embrace that dark side of the force so we can get shit dynamic, fun,
All all
passionate,
all I'm gonna
all that.
say,
Mm.
is if you go the Muhaha direction, you need to go full blown muhaha. Like there's
Yes.
no,
Be on the fence
oh,
with
you
it.
know what I'm saying? I do this. Nah, bro. I'm gonna need you to have lightning going on in the background. I'm gonna need you to get the big ass chair in the back for
Whole
no
Phineas.
reason.
I need you to be
You
a
got
whole
damn right.
Phineas, nigga.
Right.
Dr. Claw up in this motherfucker,
You know what
nigga.
I'm saying? You need you to get you a cat. I need you to get some minions and shit. You know what I'm saying? You need a whole theme song. Look,
Yes, yes.
bruh.
You got to be whole Mr. Burns, nigga. I need
Yeah.
you to be the whole.
Hey, hey.
Right. I'm gonna need
Arkham is now under new management.
right.
What was Buddy Rowe from Daredevil name again? I need you to be the bad guy of Daredevil. I forgot his name. Damn it.
Kingpin. No, that yeah.
Kingpin. I need you to be a whole Kingpin, bro. I need you
Yeah.
to have the
Right.
corner office all the way
League
at
of
the top.
Villains shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like he ain't
Yes.
no Scooby Doo villain. We pulled the
Mm-mm.
mask off. Like nah, bro. Nah.
No, we
killing
Lugering over here,
everybody.
homie. We Lugering over here.
Right. Old Skeletor looking ass. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm saying? Like,
mean,
Hey,
Uchiha
hey, but
all
let
the
me,
way.
hey, let me go ahead and hey, shout out to Gilgamy for the super chat. I really appreciate it, and I got a special surprise for you. So this is just for you.
This nigga actually
killing
cut
me
that
with
clip
this shit, bro.
and put that shit together. Can you imagine this?
I mean, shit, man. I gotta have something for 'em, man. I mean, they've been giving me super chats all this time, man. It's just
I mean,
Yeah, beach twerking, could.
I mean, if we could have turned that video into something serious, let Mr. Z be the one to walk us down that road. Isn't that kind of what niggas is doing now?
Oh shit.
Isn't that kind of what niggas are doing now?
what,
I
twerking for
mean,
dollars.
when you put the big rims on your car, what are you doing it for? Right? When you wearing the shiny colors in the you know the and well, shout out to me, the pink polos. What are you doing it for? Right? I mean, what are you when you bought a J's for $300? What are you doing it for? Everybody keeps on saying that they're doing it for them. Stop lying. What are you doing it
No, they're
for?
not, because them J's is ugly. Shit.
Right,
But people still
bro.
buying them
Everything after like six was ugly.
Yeah, and they sell like a motherfucker. Like, what are
You
you
see what I'm
niggas
saying?
seeing in these shoes, cuz?
Hell no, man.
That
It's the
is
conditioning.
peacocking.
I mean, like it ain't the shoe itself; it's the idea of what it represents. You already know there's an authority hierarchy in the neurology, and any indicator of value is gonna really. Oh, I can't.
Look,
Go
look,
ahead, Cam.
Damn it, Kepler. Damn it.
Man,
Go ahead, Cam.
hey, got to. Thanks for the thanks for
gotta-
the super chat.
You
See,
gotta put Lucchini in the background, man.
oh,
What?
man.
Like a chihuahua.
the dog walked away and said,
No,
fuck
no,
this
like
shit.
fuck is going on here, man? Like, what you trying to do with that? Nope.
Hey, but appreciate that camp low.
Then he gave you a whole movie ticket, Kev.
And
He
he
gave
said
you a whole
Lucchini.
$20
This is
movie
it.
ticket for like
Right.
a 10-second
shit.
clip.
Oh yeah. Shit,
making
Spider-Man
it
No Way
tonight.
Home.
Oh,
Here I come.
God damn.
Hey, you get a better return on investment than any fucking movie producer I've ever seen.
right. Gee, what's
For real.
good, family?
What it do, G?
What's going on, G?
Hey man, how the brothers feeling today, man? I'm just enjoying the rhetoric.
We
Respect.
just chilling out, family. You on the road tonight?
Yeah, I'm up here in DC right now.
Okay, you my old
Uh-oh.
stomping grounds, fam. That's what's up.
Used to be
Yeah.
Chocolate City.
Right?
I mean, it's white chocolate now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
it is.
saying?
Everywhere. Shit.
'Cause, you know,
You
you got
know,
a couple of them
depends on
Karens
who
running
they
around
is,
with a
you
hot
know.
oven.
Depending on who they is, white chocolate count too, you know.
Yeah,
Hey, as long as they love go-go.
definitely.
Get
Hey,
mine.
long as they real white chocolate and not that imitation. You know,
Well, they gonna learn one way or another, especially if they go around southeast.
Uh,
Get their vitamin D insertion. Wow,
literally.
white chocolate done. Man,
Look,
I
bro.
swear to God, that's the first time I ever seen a white hood rat.
In DC?
Just in my area. I didn't know they.
Oh,
I didn't know that was. I thought they were everywhere. Apparently not.
Did
Hey,
she
you
have
know
the
what,
T-Boz
man?
haircut?
I got
hysterical.
some. Hey, I never thought I was saying I got some good white friends, man.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
shit.
believe
I'm
you. I
talking
thought you were a
about.
good right
I'm
friend.
talking about white hood rats. I ain't even necessarily. And this was the pre see me outside chick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You did not bring that up.
right. This
How
was
about that?
before Iggy. You know what I'm saying? Before all of that, we didn't have no kind of models to copy and paste off of. They just out there
I've
for no
seen him down
reason.
here in South Florida.
Oh, so
I've seen him.
she's just a simulator, man.
Just
100.
full on female pookies, like, bruh, like,
Bruh.
I can't.
Serious. Serious.
Out there
I've
hitting
seen
the
them.
blunt, like, bitch, what you doing?
I've seen the Asian ones. I've seen the East Asian ones. I've seen the South Asian ones. I've seen the Latino ones. Duh, everybody's seen the Latino ones. I've seen the Anglo-Saxon, fresh off the damn plantation white ones. Right? I've seen all of them. All the. If you didn't see them and you just heard them, you would think they were the hoodest of the hood
Wait, Z, you in Florida
black
though,
person.
right?
Yeah. So duh.
Wait,
Florida don't count.
you
Man,
hold up. You said
that nigga live in Miami. He live
wait,
in Ratchet Paradise.
He in the
Right?
damn Twilight Zone. Fuck you mean?
wait. You said
Florida
a
be
Florida
hood.
out here.
man.
This is like the
I live in
inverse
Florida, man.
Bermuda Triangle, man. It'd be
Right?
ciphering folks
You,
from all over the world. Like, bruh,
wait a minute.
how
You
you
said
get a Paleolithic man in
he's.
Miami running around munching on people,
But
talking
hey,
about bath salts?
look, he was on Flocka, okay? That don't count.
No,
Hey,
wait
nigga,
a minute. You said
listen.
you said a hooded
Miami,
out Indian chick,
Miami
Bro, are
distorting
you
time
what?
space, bruh.
a
Yes.
hooded out Hindu
Yeah.
chick.
Yeah. Okay, so two different Indians. You got the Caribbean Indian,
Yamalama,
which
yamalama, lama
Right,
type
no,
of chick,
so
huh?
with the head wobble. What is up, cause what
man,
is
that
up?
no,
nigga
no.
talking about the motherfucking the people
What
that
is
don't
good?
eat cow Indians.
Right,
Yeah,
what
no,
is
no.
good?
So when yeah, that's the Indians. No, but it's two different type of hood Indians, right?
I
So
bet them
there's the
bitches
ones that
hairy than
come
a
from
motherfucker,
India
man.
Indians, and then there's the ones that made the pit stop in the Caribbean Indians.
Oh,
And I've
this
seen
nigga
both of them
talking
hooded
about it.
out.
You seen a Hindu ratchet?
Yeah, but she wasn't. I mean, she was Hindu
Hey,
by family,
they
but
be in
not
Jamaica though.
practicing.
They be in
Yeah,
Jamaica though on that
hell
old
yeah,
death.
heavy, heavy.
Look, man, look. I don't know what do they call them? Coolies?
Cool.
This nigga done brought a word from an old Louis Lamore Western out. This nigga
Nah,
said
that's what they
cool.
called him though. That's
That's
fucked
what they
up.
call them,
That
bro.
nigga said coolie, cuz he pulled that way from back there.
I'm telling you, man, this shit blows your mind. It's just like
This
seeing
nigga
them
nameless
Chinese.
know the best words.
Yo, nigga, that's what they English called him back in
Right.
motherfucking.
But I mean, Jamaica was a British colony, so I mean,
You
Yeah, for
old
sure.
properly educated ass boy.
you know what I'm saying?
For
Cause of
sure.
my book, bruh.
That's
Look,
some funny
I
shit.
didn't know about that until I started getting hip to a lot of that nonsense that was going out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a straight up insult.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's what they be calling them out there, man. But you know, they out there in
Hey,
Jamaica.
you know what? The British came up with some fucked up names for people, man. The British used to call motherfuckers jigaboos and shit.
Is that
The
a British
came up
thing?
with that?
That's a British thing.
Yeah, the British came up with all the fucked up names.
Jigaboo though, nigga, hold up.
Right. This shit kinda got me fucked up. Like
They came up with
Hey,
jigaboo.
hey. Y'all
how
do
did
know what a
that come
British
up?
cigarette is, right?
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
definitely,
Fair
definitely.
enough.
One is
Fair
who's
enough.
quite sagacious.
Right. My goodness.
All right,
And
so
then what isn't that what they call fries? Chips?
chips.
I'll be mad. Let me get
Fricassee
these
more
fries,
chips.
cuz. It's your potato chips. Like, bro, really?
All right, so what was the topic for the night, man? What was we deep in tonight, man?
Well, we
Well,
digress, right? Oh, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead, Kev.
the topic for the night is
Transhumanism and shit.
they rather see us fight than to meet up. You know, what I did. This is what I was intending to ask you, fellas. What do you think about all of the negative feedback about the Manosphere meetup? You know, as far as people who are local to the space. You know, especially people that are in the beefosphere and the hatosphere and Whatever
What do they
species.
call it? What do they call it when more than one black person, specifically black men, aggregate in one spot without anybody else's permission?
A gang.
A gang, nigga.
A terror organization.
You know what that means?
So, like, that's my whole take on it. I wish them brothers the best. I'm glad they're sitting down and networking. I 100% salute it. But the image of black men aggregating animated by something, especially if it's constructive, always gets transmuted to something negative. And Roger Report got the word I was really looking for, but that's the only capacity, that's allowed. And generally that responds with a reaction from whatever authority figure that's there. So I guarantee you the context would be different if it was at a church, or if there was a contingency of black females there. The whole context of it would differ. But because we've got black men aggregating under a pretense of construction, people are going to have a problem with it. And
Yep.
either they want to control it or they're scared of it, or a combination of both, in my opinion. So I just think this goes back again to there being absolutely no fundamental cultural portfolio for black men in the United States. There just isn't one. And every time we act in the capacity of man, because that's what men do, we aggregate to build and get things done and establish social order.
Yep.
They got a problem with that. And they need to have a quote overseer there. And there was no overseer present, and they're not comfortable with it. So the shaming and the projecting and the mirrors come out. But at the end of the day, man, I salute to them brothers for doing that. And I hope they do it again just because they don't like it.
I agree with you with that. I salute those brothers, man. I don't got no hate for them for that. I just had to get on a couple other brothers' head talking about, well, they should have did it like this. And I just told them, you should have put your own money up and you could have said where it was if you wanted to. Because them brothers made that choice amongst each other to do that. If we have an issue with it, we could all get our own money and go to a hotel too.
But that's eventually what this is supposed to be moving into. It's supposed to eventually move out of vocal exchange into, what I'm saying, physical exchange, and then resource exchange. I mean, that's how this shit's supposed to go. If motherfuckers really looking to build.
Yeah, and that looks differently for different people, man. I think that's just part of the component there. But to really get to what Kev's talking about, at the end of the day, you have black men operating without somebody's permission and with nobody else's supervision but their own. And that's really what they're upset about, period.
I think Nameless has a point. I mean, I think Nameless really has the point. At the end of the day, um, I think a lot of us we forget that the audience that watches us, a large percent of them are gynocentric people.
Mm-hmm.
Some gynocentric people saw some niggas get together, especially without no woman telling them what to do, and they don't know how to make it. They don't know what to make it at, But they know it's trouble. There's trouble over there. Look here, boss. They talking again.
Right.
They in the back.
Right. I
You know.
mean, you said it, right? Loitering. Like, we know the origin of where that law actually comes from.
Yeah. I think. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say that it needs to just be physical. I think we're gonna continue to do physical things. We're gonna continue to do online things. It's just what we're gonna do is encompass more things, and that's gonna scare people at the end of the day. It's gonna scare people because you know it's gonna take a small amount of men to make other men feel like, oh, black men doing whatever they want to do is that's what we supposed to do. That's how we supposed to move, and people don't really want that to happen. They want to control our resources. They want to control our efforts. They definitely want to control our labor at the end of the day. And a lot of people forget that. You, the goal of America is to control our labor. That's what we got brought over here for, and they haven't let that go yet. America's not comfortable with black men labor being used to do what they want to do with it.
I just put something in the chat. You guys can hold on to that for future reference because it's kind of getting. I think it relates to this topic at the end of the day. It's showing the history of the Vagrancy Act. And basically, when black folks started pretty much getting integrated into main society, they started having these anti quote vagrant laws, and the loitering laws really came up out of that. And this is effectively what we're talking about, man. This country's history is just it's steeped in us being in a position of being controlled, and specifically fear of black men. They're not scared of black women like this. They're not, period. They're not. And that's why I really advocate for social dominance order, what I call sword form one, because I think it really sheds a light on this. Men in the out group are going to continuously be the disproportionate targets of all this negativity and social aggression. Keyword aggression. Not going after black women like this. They really aren't. And it's why you can't, in any stable social order, they know the men need to be in a position to be supported so they can protect.
Yeah.
And the least protected person in America is the black man. Well, go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say you don't attack teammates. You know what I'm saying?
Hysterical.
I'm just saying. You say they ain't worried about the black women. They ain't attacking them. You don't attack your teammate.
Oh, you right. You right.
You attack the opposition.
Shout out to the gynocracy. Hashtag the cult of white supremacy. Go ahead.
If any critique that I had, I just wish they wouldn't have advertised it. I'm very against advertising the movements that should be coordinated behind closed doors. When you see
they already know who we are, bro.
It's not about them knowing who we are. Of course, it's not about that. But when corporations have meetings, they don't do it in the public.
Maybe, but I think it was it Lil Big Nate that organized this, or was it Obsidian?
I heard it was this guy named Theo WAF, something like that.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, he was a financial backer. I heard that Little Big Nate had a lot to do with it as well.
I got the impression, because I didn't inquire too deeply about it, I got the impression that he was the main coordinator for it. So Lil Big Nate has a way he operates, and I think his statement was just simply, look, this is a demonstration of black men organizing, and I think the intention was for it to be visible. So I can get your sentiment, G. I share a similar sentiment, but I understand also what Lil Big Nate was trying to say with that statement also, and being open about organizing that together. You understand what I'm saying? So, there may be levels to this. Most of us have already talked behind closed doors anyway. That's going to happen regardless. And we'll have plenty of opportunities to sit down and really aggregate on, getting things put forward in order. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good start. I think it sets a solid precedence because it's a form of positive propaganda at the end of the day.
I honestly underestimated the amount of hate from other brothers that those brothers was going to receive.
Oh, yeah.
Since that meeting happened, I've been, paying attention to a couple other things. And a lot of these dudes is coming out the woodwork slandering these brothers, man, and talking bad about these dudes. And I'm just like, wow, I didn't know the animosity,
man, fam,
was on that level. You know what I mean? Maybe because I'm newer to the man. I don't know what to call it. The Black Manosphere. I don't know what, I don't know. I done heard so much contention over the last, 72 hours. I don't know what the hell going on. I support the brothers. I support the channels that I find intellectually stimulating. That's it.
I'm just going to say.
Go ahead, Roger, and I'll go after you.
I'm just going to say this is what we play for. At the end of the day, black men going to have to get comfortable playing to gain hate. Because that's what we're going to gain at first. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get some momentum. We're going to get some positive things done. But, my perception of the in group, which is us, we're going to gain hate at the end of the day. I know it's coming. It just is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? The thing is, we just got to get more reason to hate on us at the end of the day. But we're going to have to get past the fact that everybody hates us and just Except that's just the society we live in. At least over here in America, that's the society we live in. The ones that
Like,
hate black men being productive for themselves.
do you know how stressed out we'll be if we got mad about every little thing that people said?
Mm-hmm.
God
Facts.
damn it, again! God damn it! The millionth time! Like, we should be used to it. I mean, the sting of an insult does exist. I'm sorry. So you can call brothers as triggered as you want. You can call me triggered. But it's to the point where this is becoming regular as fuck. And it's sad, but, and I say this very lightly, we should be used to it.
Yeah.
Did any of y'all ever hear with Baldwin why Baldwin said black men don't get midlife crises? I'll just sum it up like this because we don't really expect shit like that anyway. Midlife crisis, that's because you felt like you were entitled to some shit. So yeah, I agree with Kev. Like we
Uh,
growing up as a
I,
black man in this
I
society. Oh,
That's
go
a
ahead, go
good
ahead.
point.
no, I think you know what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. I didn't catch it at first, but my mind quickly shifted to midlife crisis. Like we don't have to wait to our midlife to experience crisis.
Yeah, we get
That
it at
that's over
Right.
7
with.
when we get it at 7 when we get told we the man of the house.
Yeah, yeah. We
Right.
done spend we've been in crisis since we was kids. For most of us, at the end of the day, so we don't have to go through a midlife crisis. I don't really see. And then
You don't gotta wait
there
till you're
is a
45 to
If
go through the
we
crisis.
if we get midlife, number one.
That's true.
yeah.
Hey,
That's
Yeah, because
fighting
niggas start
itself. That's
falling
getting to
off at
midlife.
around 43.
Yeah.
Right. And then
shit, more like
there is
23
something
rogue. I mean, roguish.
and there is something about what you say that we don't expect other people's stuff. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we just don't expect that. And I mean, we all hear
Understood.
stories that are unfathomable to us because like I remember when I was young, about I don't know, maybe 1920s, and the dude told me about the dude who killed himself and he's worth $9 million. I couldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? I still don't really understand to this day. And I understand that money don't make you happy. But I think you're not the brightest person if you got $9 million. No, figure out how to have a good time. You know what I'm saying? You're
Hey,
not as smart as you come off
That's the
as
biggest lie
everybody
in the
else thought
world
they
to
were.
say money can't make you happy.
well,
That's
you live
that's
in a
a big
capitalist society.
motherfucking
Let me
lie.
get in my fucking capitalist bag real quick, y'all. You live in a society. I told you you could buy everything. You could buy people. You could buy happiness. You could buy women. You could buy friends and connections and love. And I think what happens is some of these motherfuckers, a handful of black people, but mainly non-black men, they get the money and it's like, oh shit, I can't buy everything. You imagine what happens when you come up on some real money at 20, 27, 28, and you couldn't
Yeah, it's
buy
time to
everything
play
they told you
God
was for
now.
sale?
It's time to play
Man,
God now. Yeah.
right? Exactly.
Well, I mean, my perception is that, because I'm not going to say money can buy you happiness, but it can definitely buy you a good time. It can buy you a very good
I
time.
agree. I
You
agree.
know, so if you got millions of dollars and you can't figure out how to go have a good time, I mean, what is the world losing if you off yourself? What is if you can't figure that out with $9 million?
This
Fucked up.
ruthless
It's
motherfucker here,
very
cuz.
fucked up.
This
But I
nigga.
mean, yeah. I mean,
Come
it's
on, be easy on Roger. I know he's from Chicago, man.
hey, you already know.
I'm just trying to look at it
That's a
in a
different. I'm telling you, that's a different
sensible.
type of real world than everybody else used to be in.
Nigga, you ain't lying, bro.
I'm just trying to be sensible, man.
Chirac, cuz,
Yeah.
for a
I mean,
reason.
like it's. I think it's, and I keep on playing with this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if I get the time, I want to kind of talk about our psychological state in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you know
Already addressing
how.
that with sword form 3. I'm
God
telling
damn
I
it, nameless.
call it the
But
demon gate. It's the demon gate, but I'm just telling you, you're going in the right direction, man, because
yeah, no,
you
you see
can't
what I'm
even
saying? So
get to
like,
the upper, you can't even get to the upper 4 with us. Like we
I mean,
fail so hard just on the top. Well, there's 4, right? So you've got the need for food security, then that whole concept of having a place to belong in, followed by actually being loved by your family unit. Like that, those top 2 right there are probably responsible for so many more instances of mental illness in our demographic, it's not even funny. Generally speaking, coming from trauma, from having to go through a long period of not getting that stuff, it's absolutely crazy because we didn't get it on the plantation. And if we understand that that's a copy and paste that gets superimposed onto the cultural memory and your value system's predicated on that, like I said before, that's why we have this overemphasis in thinking parenting is all about just having food and a roof over your head.
Facts.
The
Yeah,
base, the
well, the
base floor,
biggest.
the bottom of the pyramid scheme.
It's not even enough to sustain you so
Well,
that
you
you
know,
can
the
cope with
biggest
life.
thing that honestly, the issue I struggle with is, we was able to make our way to certain points. What always affects me on a large scale is the lack of our fraternity we have as males. When I look around at these other groups and see that they have fraternal orders within them that protect the culture or that push the culture or protect the males, we just don't have it.
Did
And
you
that, and
hear
that
it?
always bothered me. It's like, okay, I always sought to be part of a fraternity of males that was inherently from ourselves and for ourselves progressing. So when we hear about these secret organizations that exist in every culture, that you have to be from this culture to be part of it, and we don't have that, that bothers me.
Well, we do. Here's the thing. Two things I want to say on that. There's a sharp distinction between those of us who were in the institution and those of us who weren't. And I can tell you right now, it is a fact of documented history that those who were not in the institution absolutely did and still do have those institutions you're talking about. The problem is there's a very sharp line and a very sharp divide between them and us, followed by the fact that with us, we've got that history of the institution. And the problem is, did I ever tell you about the idea of stay in your lane and how we learned a lot of that on the plantation? About taking that bag of cotton and weighing it up against that lead ball. I told you guys about that story, right?
You told me and Rogish. I don't know if G ever heard you say that. I know. I think Roger heard you say that too, but I don't know if G heard you say that.
I don't remember this.
Okay.
Oh, you don't? Oh, this is good.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's
So
not
Sounds
coming to my
familiar.
mind at least.
okay, so on the plantation, irrespective of well, with the exception of those who did sugarcane, which predominantly was not in the United States, overwhelmingly our crop was cotton and tobacco for the most part. And everybody had a line to work. Your work day pretty much was, your work week rather. You worked every day from can't see at night or in the morning to can't see at night. And that's important because the only day you really had off was Sunday. And you either had to be in church or you had to be drunk. I'll let you fill in the blanks as to why that is. But the important thing was the general schedule was you woke up, you met in the area that everybody was going to meet at. You got your instruction for the day, you took your sack, and you had a lane. And that was your lane to work. And you went through and you did the best you could to not be the last person. There was nothing anybody could do to help you. And if you were at the end of the day, when you brought that sack back in, the amount of tobacco or cotton you managed to get squared away, that amount counted towards the loan that was put out for you so you could get your emancipation eventually. Now, we all know that, for the most part, there's people who were never going to make enough to pay towards that. But that was the idea behind what you were doing. There was a percentage of the amount of work you did that would pay towards your eventual freedom. But here was the issue. That was a numerical value to provide a scale, a figurative and a literal one, where you took that amount of tobacco or cotton that you had and you put it on a scale. And on the other hand was a lead ball. And if your sack didn't move that lead ball, you would literally get whipped to compensate for the amount you came short. And there was nothing anybody could do to help you. So it helped create that concept of the perversion of the judgment of the scales of Anubis and Ma'at, where you put your heart up there against the feather.
Mm-hmm.
You had that ritual to go through every time you came back to the house and offloaded that sack. And all you could do that next day was make sure you stay in your lane and do everything you needed to do so that when you brought that thing back there, that ball of lead ended up moving. Because if you didn't, that was literally coming out your behind. And at the end of the day, what it created was a scenario where we had a group of men in the same scenario who were not working together and was in literal competition to not be the one that stood out. There was nothing we could do to help each other. If you was getting whipped, there was that was it. We couldn't really give each other advice, and we couldn't help one another whatsoever. You've got 400 years of that kind of conditioning.
I said we probably got so many epigenetic connections to that.
You see what I mean?
insurmountable.
And it put a new spin on stay in your lane.
And I want to make this a big point because there's a difference between the Gullah Geechee and the way you did sugarcane. And it's why I think it plays out differently from folks in the Caribbean versus folks that are here in the Ados tribe. Because if you know anything about the sugarcane, you had not only a functional weapon in your hand, but you had to work as a group. If you didn't cut it together at the same rate, you would actually slow the process down. And then you had to be careful because there was a lot of predators that was in that sugarcane that would show up out of nowhere, mainly snakes. So you had to have, for your own safety and for the speed and progress of everything, a measure of coordination and assistance, which is why the difference was they made sure the overseer had a very positive connection with the people who were out there on the field. They got down a lot differently with the sugarcane hustle than they did with what was going on the tobacco and the cotton plants and the cotton plantations out there in the United States. And the last statement about the Gullah Geechee. What made the Gullah Geechee so unique is their primary crop was rice. And in fact, the whole concept of the Gullah Geechee was that they came from a specific part of Angola whose ancestors were already cultivating rice as a cultural process, a cultural product. And so they were preferentially selected to do the rice in those golf plantations that are there now off the Georgia and Florida coast right now. So what they ended up doing was, because that environment was too hostile for individuals of palm-colored descent, we'll call them, they had a kind of serf and lord sort of dynamic where they didn't have a daily weighing system. They had a seasonal system. So they went out there, and since they were the only ones that could really handle that rice planting, because if you know anything about planting rice, man, it's intensive, it's jacked up. You got to be out there in that water. It's difficult. It takes a lot of work, and it's tedious. And so they actually just let them do their own thing. And they had a lot of autonomy. So in order for them to succeed and meet the seasonal quotas, there was a great measure of cooperation that had to be realized, which is why to this day, even though they are probably the number one casualty of gentrification, because those golf courses being bought up left and right and nobody's helping them, they still were able to maintain a community that had a semblance of strength relative to other folks in the Ados tribe, because during their captivation, they could still cultivate a measure of autonomy, and they still had a measure of cooperation. And when you look at the descendants of the Gullah Geechee, you can see a lot of that still going on there with them. Yeah, I know that was kind of like a long roundabout story, but I think it's important to understanding, where we get our cultural cues from, and, where a lot of this animosity comes from with Black men versus other Black men. We just have not had a history of cooperating with each other. And those of us who have did so in the capacity of slave owner, or we were busy trying to integrate into the society so that we could become part of the 1%. And there was absolutely no interest in looking from a benevolent perspective to those who were in the institution. Much like we see today, unfortunately.
Yep.
It just always it just always, I came from a background. It was negative, but there was a lot of cooperation going on, and we had to listen to people, or you got violated. Like it wasn't, I look at it now. You know what I mean? There was some extreme shit going on, but you had to be extreme like that to maintain order. Like that's the only way I could put it. Even though it seemed like it was chaos, like in my projects, it was rules. Like you couldn't do certain shit. You couldn't do everything. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm confused, but like, I don't
No,
know.
no, you're not confused. No, you're
you're not
not.
confused at
No.
all. Because when you get to a certain point where you don't got nothing, you may have some folks who try to maintain a measure of honor. Like, amongst men, there is a baseline understanding that violence could erupt at any moment. And, it's why when you go through some shit, you can tell. There's a line I like from Button. He said, if you don't understand what the pencil scripts, then 8 times out of 10, you ain't been through shit. Like when you're in a situation where you've got that much adversity, you stop sweating the small things. You understand what I'm saying? If you've got any opportunity to have a measure of chill, naturally you're going to take that. And, it's a dice roll whether or not you get to have an environment like that where you've got that stability. And so you learn the rules of engagement, so to speak, and those rules are honored. I think a lot of the collapse we're experiencing now is, those rules are, one, not being taught, or two, they're being demonstrated in the context of weakness. And you've got this, I'm going to say, feminine disposition about violence. And what I mean by violence is, or effeminate, not in the way that it's presented, but in that it's violence in a way that doesn't end at the offense being resolved. It's a violence that begots more violence for the sake of it because it seeks to destroy. There's a way you can create with violence, and then there's a way violence can completely destroy. There's that restraint that's held because there's an understanding of interconnectivity. With the violence we see a lot now that's dominating, that interconnectivity is gone. And all that's left is really this context of destruction. So everybody's walking on these pins and needles ready to go off, animated by this understanding that folks' needs aren't being met. And so if you're not getting yours, you're going to take yours. And a message of power ends up being a message of your own unmaking. And, we're back to the title of this whole entire video right now. Oh, I just saw you, Ism. What's going on, Ism?
Sir Ism, what's happening, player?
Ism, what's going on? From the Manosphere. What's going on, man?
Appreciate you letting me pull up on your panel, man. I think I was up.
You ain't gonna
here
put
with you.
"osphere" on everything, Kev.
No. He could, no, he
I'm
actually
fucking with you,
uses the
Kev. I'm
words
fucking with you. I'm
Manosphere.
fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
So, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming up.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. I think I've been on your panel maybe once before, but I'll be in the clouds watching all you fellas, man. All of us have our different styles. We're kind of like teachers. Some teachers are more, cerebral brothers, more, brothers that make you, get your third eye open. You're nameless. You know what I mean? Brother Roger, he has his style. Brother Chaos Rain, I don't know what your style is yet. I'm trying to figure it out, Chaos. So, you understand me? We got Roguish over there. You know what I mean? Everybody got their style. G, he gonna put it to you straight hood style. You know what I mean? So, you got your country boy style, Kev. I'm Ism, I have my style. But we all are trying to help men, and I like to see that those brothers were meeting up. That's great. But brother, I ain't trying to derail the conversation. I'll leave if I have to. But brother, the little Big Nate told me I wasn't invited. He said I don't help the brothers. He called me a leftist. he said, Ism, you're a leftist. I said, man, I thought it was brothers meeting brothers. But see, amen. I ain't trying to judge brothers, but if you're gonna be whapping and tapping on the women head, and then when we see you and you ain't got your campaign together, hey man, you making a mockery of yourself. So that's all I'm saying. If you're gonna be going crazy, looking like you're gonna blow a brain vessel in your head about these women, I did something today. I was talking about crying men. I'm not trying to promote, but brothers, what is the fix? 22. Can it be year of the fix, year of the solution? Because I only been here a year, but I wake up every morning with men crying about women. When we gonna say, hey brothers, what can we do to improve ourselves? Hey brothers, how can we help our finances? How can we improve our credit score? You know what I'm saying? We need to do some of this. What's the solution, young brothers? Should we get married? How can we teach young brothers how to cook? Okay, what is a good wife? Oh, we talk about the women, the weave, the women, Hey brothers, can we do some jumping jacks? Can we get in shape? What can we do to
Well,
fix it as men? That's all I
ism.
want to say. Go
I
ahead, brother.
think people are already doing it. It just, one, doesn't get views, and two, even if it is being put out there, it's not being circulated. I really think that ultimately the sphere needs to be, well, it's already doing it. It regulates itself around certain personalities. And whatever frequency that those personalities are resonating on, the rest of the individuals that are orbiting around it will resonate with the similar frequency. So I think we're in a position now, finally, where there's enough diversity in the sphere where we can walk and chew bubblegum. And that's happening. It's just that people are finding the sphere at completely different stages in their life. I can say that discipline is a key thing that I found useful, and that most people I chop it up with and talk to have found useful and have been employing in every aspect of their life, so that they can gain a greater level of control of themselves and the way they respond to this information. And here's something that I really think gets put unfairly on the space as a whole. This place is really a prototype. I mean, I can't think of any other location where we can have a panel where, from so many different age groups, so many different occupations and backgrounds, we can be in one location and share our experiences without having to apologize for them. You understand what I'm saying, Ism?
But nameless. Why the brother didn't want me to come to the panel, man? He told me I was
Because
a
You're
leftist,
a
man.
leftist, nigga. No, I'm playing.
look, look,
I'm
look, look, look,
right-handed.
look, look. Ism, let
How
me
am
be
I
real with
leftist?
you.
Goddamn leftists.
Let me be real with you, Ism.
Just,
Let me
just
be
like
real
you,
with you.
nameless. You done put up on my panel, and people like nameless. Hey, I got that hot 16. Nameless got
I don't
bars.
know what you talking about,
I'm
Ism.
gonna put it out there, right?
I don't know what you talking about.
He was
You ain't
flowing
hear
over. I had
shit,
a
fam.
trap beat. Nameless is flowing. I'm telling y'all, don't
You
mess with
spit,
nameless.
huh?
He cold in the game.
That's a
But
freestyle, nameless. We need to hear that, man.
I don't know what he mean. But Ism, like, there's a measure of, you got to understand what animates people. Like, we don't have a culture in place for everybody to work together like that. And I already broke down a lot of where the cultural impetus does come from as far as the way we interact with each other. And currently, politics in the space is probably one of the most divisive things that goes down. And it's just because we, as Black people in general, have a habit of embodying the ideas we champion before we understand and recognize us as a group. So if you're
Facts.
really animated and almost blinded by your ideas, it's difficult for you to recognize the things that we do have in common, man. It's why I go and I guess I resonate with every aspect of the sphere to some degree, because at the end of the day, at the other end of that mic is a Black man, and you represent me even if I don't agree with your ideas. So it's in my best interest to recognize what I can from you, because you're looking at the same picture I am but have a different perspective, and it could be a degree of knowledge that I'll gain from seeing how you operate, whether it's in the positive or in the negative, and I can decide how I move accordingly. But that has to be learned and demonstrated over time. Like, I think step one to even begin to reach where you're talking about is to learn how to talk to each other, because that's far more challenging than it really needs to be. But we've got such
Facts.
a strong countercurrent pushing us against doing that, because every time we talk, there's always supposed to be some sort of authority figure That goes back to the damn plantation we're talking about. And even if we're coming from a position where we're used to having agency in our own environment where we live at, you know, we are still not used to being able to talk to each other uncandidly. So, ism, I wouldn't take it personal. I mean, that brother will probably call me a leftist. It's
I'm
just
taking
at
it
the end of the
personal,
day,
nameless. You
I
you 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 too
ism,
smooth, nameless. No, I'm
ism,
taking. He told
ism,
me you're not invited. I said what?
ism, ism. Here's
Hey,
what you do.
I'm for
You
the
What
do
the hell
your
brothers,
own.
makes you
Look,
a
look, look. Ism,
leftist, Ism?
I
ism.
know
You
I'm
do.
you
Here's
if
what you do.
if
joking,
Ism.
ism's a
dog.
Hey,
leftist, then what am I?
here's what you
Around
do.
the
Wait, wait,
planet?
wait.
You know what I
Do
mean? I
ism.
be joking. I got my little style or whatever.
Ism.
I
All
be
you
messing
got to
with y'all,
do.
but I really am for the brothers.
Goddamn leftist.
All you got to do is have your own ball, and
Can
I
niggas be
promise you,
leftists?
have a player's ball for the sphere, and I promise you,
Okay,
that's
I
your
need to have a
opposite but
Manosphere
equal.
meetup, huh?
I mean, there it is.
Hey, I'm gonna have some ladies. We gonna be having some drink. We gonna be
Hey,
dancing.
shout out to Dave Chappelle. Hate, 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 hate.
I mean, folks are always gonna have a problem with what black men do, irrespective of what they're animated off of. There's no such thing as doing the right or wrong thing. It's just you black and you doing something without somebody's permission. Doesn't
Say
matter
that.
what it is. People are gonna have an issue with it. So for me, as long as it's animated in the spirit of you have good intentions and goodwill, I welcome the conflict then because I can trust your intention even if we don't agree, if what you're doing is so that we can succeed in the end, I'm cool with you. And I think that's an important undertone to really put forward because then it provides the proper context for conflict. And that way it creates something that ends up creating rather than perpetuating destruction, which is what we've been used to for the longest time.
Yeah, we are a culture of people who have gotten used to seeing black men always at odds with each other. So it looks very weird when black men get together and actually want to talk about things that are productive because the narratives are always not in our favor. So
Mm.
when we do have men who push back against the narratives, sometimes we can get caught up in the whole we crying about women, and we're not really trying to say things that are productive and forward moving. So when we do have these things that do happen that are productive and forward moving, we need to investigate instead of just assuming that we're not getting together for any other purpose than to tear the community down. Because from what I saw with the Manosphere meetup, as far as people who were talking about it, it didn't seem like it was like that at all. I think that if you are going to, and I get I get the sentiment from the other brothers. If you're going to have this much outreach, then we need to do something with it. And I like the spirit of the gathering itself. It didn't seem like it was on some fuck shit. I'll say that. You know, if it was, then I would call it out just how it is. But
Mm.
I didn't see that. So
But Kev, I mean, City ain't the only one could get on stage and crack a joke.
yeah,
I
I
would
know.
I would have had y'all laughing. You understand me? Just because I'm ism and I'm different, I'm still a brother. I
Yeah,
have
you are,
kids,
man.
man.
Look,
Hey, hey, ism, ism.
you are. I totally agree
Hey,
with that.
OG,
Right
hey,
on, right on.
OG. In the wise words of she, ooh, sometimes I'm thinking like
It ain't
it's
like I'm
okay,
just out here
brother.
raising
We
criminals and I'm over here talking about, you know what I'm saying, some crazy stuff. I just have a different style, but I actually are for the brothers, man. I want to help some of the younger brothers because the older ones, they ain't listening to me.
Yeah, I mean, look. Here's one thing I'm against, and I get you, ism. I'm against the echo chamber. You don't have to necessarily come in and agree with everything I say, and we don't have to have the same wavelength or the same style. My one thing is that whatever differences we have, we're able to get along at the end of the day and carry ourselves like adults. But anyway, Black in Effect, Mr. Z, who's up here on the panel right now, appreciate the super chat. Says money in the tip jar for at the round table table. So
Hey, Izza, man, you know how crazy? Like I used to be on Kev Facebook group all the time, but I had to cancel my Facebook because my fat girls kept catching me. You know how stressed I am right now. You know when you got Facebook, they can hunt you down, man. Like who is this girl? You know what I'm saying? And then my fat Texas girl caught me with my fat Omaha girl.
Wait a minute.
Then I
Wait a
got in
minute.
trouble.
You can't mess
You know
with
what I'm
fat
saying?
women, G. Lightweight
Man,
is
I'm trying to
specified.
tell y'all why I had to get off Facebook. I kept getting caught cheating on
What's your dress
my
size?
you know what I'm saying? I kept getting caught up, man. I had to erase Facebook because I was too easy to track down.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? So I've been
All these
stressing
brothers
for
need to try some of that fat pussy, man. It's pussy. Don't
man,
knock it till you
listen,
try it.
that fat thing go splash, boy.
I'm done with y'all.
Yeah, it's more for y'all.
I'm just saying,
You
some brothers ain't getting
niggas
nothing.
like
I mean,
dubbing it. Y'all like that
Oh,
dubbing love,
so
huh?
I'm the only one that mess with fat girls. So
Oh
y'all gonna
my
stop doing
god.
me like this, man.
Y'all like that
Y'all gonna
dubbing
stop
love.
making me
He was with the
seem like
highlighter
I'm the
mark
only
though.
one.
He was with the
when you know
highlighter mark.
nameless woman is slim, he be feeding her sushi while he giving her a lecture. He making her read a book while she cook fish,
And do the tarot
vegetables.
cards. I
Come
mean,
on,
don't be
man.
skipping
I
out.
already know nameless, but I just
Already.
want brothers that ain't getting nothing. At least just try it out, brother. It's a woman. You probably
Which is
not gonna
fair.
get a perfect woman if you don't have your game tight. I know you don't like game, but you need to have some analytics and some manalytics. Marry the two, try it out. Don't just knock it till you try it. Then, because if you can't get your Cardi B or your Instagram model, why not just get you a nice, cool girl if you're just looking for a wife? You really don't want to deal with that anyway. But if I can't get the woman I want, I just have nothing. I just don't like that in men. I think men protect yourself. Don't have no kids, but at least try out some women so you can know yourself and what you like. A cooperative woman is better than no woman, and all women are not bad. Get you one, man. It's a beautiful thing. I get tired of messing with you, big head niggas. I got to go lay up on something soft.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, and like just for the brothers, and I know this is kind of a dig, but just for the brothers who they say complain about rejection, I've always said that, talk as many as you can. I mean, for every 30, 28, 40 rejections, you're gonna have one or two successes, and usually brothers who are like that, they have those one or two successes, they score big. So just and it's something I had to learn. I wasn't perfect with this when I was younger, but I had to get out of that shit too. I mean, shit. Once I got like that, then I found out that that I could do better with ladies like that. Because when I had that one or two successes, it didn't matter how many rejections I had before. And I ended up better because of that. So
You know what? You know what, Kev? I'm gonna be honest with you. The part I like being in these spaces with the brothers because I like the different mind states and to talk to the brothers, man. And I like to hear everybody's different points of view and to see where we all come from and to understand that as men we are not a monolith. But that doesn't mean we can't all cooperate with each other and build with each other and be cool with each other and exchange ideas and information. Like I've never had this type of communication with other brothers in my life in reality. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I can't speak on anybody else in the diversity in which they came up in and the people they had to speak with. But to me, this is like a big melting pot of individual brothers that look like me, that I know have the same struggles I have, that's working hard, that's just trying to make it out here. And we all could congregate together and speak to each other. If we can make something happen out of that, I fully support that, no matter who does it, whether I'm part of that group or not.
I mean, I still say that's our greatest strength, the fact that we have so much diversity and different perspectives. But that's how I see it, man. I'm tired of being in these spaces, not here, but just in general, man, where power is aggregating. And I got to be a damn island all to myself and crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll do it because that's the story of my life, right? But, it's you can be
Oh, wait a minute, I'm
alone
sorry. Is that
without necessarily
Rael or
being by
Nameless
yourself.
talking?
No, that's nameless. I don't think Rael
Okay.
said anything else. What's going on, Rael?
Hey, yeah, Raya, go ahead and get the floor.
Peace, Kev. Peace of the panel. Peace of the chat. Um, uh, I'm gonna repeat something I said the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually. Um, every individual man is gonna have to ask himself the question: um, uh, what is the space for you? Um, we have had some of the most brilliant minds come through this space. We have channels like the Black Brain Trust. Shout out to Mike B, Complex Design, Lionel, and a whole host of others who have contributed to that channel. Um, we have people like Dr. Dunbar in many spaces, who's in the scientific field, and a whole host of others who have presented all types of informational trades, tech, business, you name it. Many men, unfortunately, are using the space to run from their responsibilities in terms of the life that they have outside when the shows go off. Um, the information that many men are getting in the spaces are not is not meant. It shouldn't be just for entertaining you. Entertainment has its purpose, and we all know that. So I'm not one of those people that discount entertainment. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes that ignorance is bliss. It's a beautiful thing. But I mean, if you've been in this space 2, 3 years and you've seen people like, Man of Tomorrow and other people talking about trucking and different types of things, and you're just raging, and you haven't taken any of the information that people like this have put forth and move on, not necessarily trucking if you're not interested in it, but on something, you know, you're failing yourself individually, but you're failing the space too because you're not improving. Um, Most of the men that have come into these spaces, especially once we get on panels and talk, and they actually have something to talk about, are actually trying to help men improve um, themselves. Um, I realize that the manosphere is truly, it's just morphed into this, evolved into this rights. And it's just funny how men, we operate and how we think. This has become a rites of initiation space because you're going to get so much information that most likely you've never heard before. You've been in a your reality is a female constituted reality. Usually a rebellious female who is rebelling against her own nature. Um, and you're going to see and hear uh, concepts and ideas that you just never thought you would hear. And it's going to make you look at many of the women that's around you in your family, women you dealt with, women you have children with. Like, it's going to make you look at them differently. And so you have to be prepared for that. And many men are not really shifting to the next phase. We give a ton of information. I know I do. People like BDS, a whole host of others, Obsidian, shout out to him. Um, I respect men who can give me something to put in my library. that's when I know I'm dealing with men of a certain mind frame. If you watch movies or TV shows, a lot of times when you see wealthy men, a lot of times you see them in their private study and you see nothing but books on the wall. You see nothing but books on the wall. Warren Buffett, as wealthy as he is, talks about how he reads at least 50 books a year, and he's old as shit. So there's something about the reading and the research that's valuable. Um, and I don't think it's a coincidence that looking at the reading levels of Black boys, um, I never thought I would say this, but it seems like an anti-intellectualism uh, mindset. I don't know what it is. It's like I've been on Roger. Shout out to Roger Report. I've been on his show for a while, and I've sat back and just watched for the last year, and I've seen more females say, "Hey, that book you talked about. Hey, I've gotten that book, and I use that book to go to my family, and it's helped change some things." Um, it's been a rarity seeing men do that. And so there's a lot of apathy. I think a lot of men are just, I think a lot of men just don't think they can actually win. And it to me is kind of sad because Black men have so much leverage at their disposal at this point. They got the most leverage and don't even know it. It's like they don't want to press that button because it's like many of them know that they will be pressing the button, even on some family members of the female persuasion, and really going to have to really fully get out there. The world is going to find you one way or the other. You're going to have to step up. You're going to have to look at the world as a place for you to conquer, not necessarily conquer a person, but a place where you go into it and you find your purpose in it, and stop being scared of it. You know, one of the reasons why I don't I don't bring up or talk about slavery so much is specifically because we got a shitload of history that came before that. So to me, like if we can go back to the past and look at the bad shit, well, let's look at the good shit too. And you know, from a genetic standpoint, you can do great things. So it should just be more of just a history lesson to say, hey, we need to make sure our shit is on point so we don't never get ourselves put in that situation again. That kind of thing. It shouldn't be used as a reason to not compete. And I just think that many men really do need to take the space much more seriously. For all intents and purposes, it's going mainstream. People can say they don't like him and all that other shit. I really don't give a shit. Kevin Samuels came in this space within a year and a half and took the fuck off. Like a fucking missile. Because he came in here with a purpose. He came in with a purpose. And it was BGS who asked him to come into the space. Because he felt that there were men in the space that needed him. And so for all the people who don't like Kevin Samuels, well, you can take it up with BGS because he was the one that brought him into the space. And from the comments that I see on his videos to the the comments that I see in his chats, there's a whole bunch of brothers that really do appreciate his presence, and it's reflecting in his success. So he came with a business mindset, though, and I think black men are going to have to become much more business savvy, business minded, not be scared of that word. When you hear that word, stop thinking of some scary white man, boogeyman behind a tree out there trying to get you. Um, Business existed for a long time, way before white folks even came here. So we did it, you know. Um, Traveled the globe, did all types of commerce and trade in the world. We've done that. But I just think that it needs to be much more of a, like, if you want people to give y'all, if you want people to take their time out to give y'all information, the least that people can do is come back and say, hey, I read that. BGS shouldn't give, something like the Moynihan Report, for example, 3 years ago, and then you got people that's been around saying, well, I remember you said that, but I never read it, but you've been here 3 years. That's just pure laziness. It's just pure laziness. And I think that part of our DNA, we do like the call and response aspect of information. That's part of the DNA. But reading is a form of meditation too. And we're going to have to learn how to become much more solitary in our getting knowledge, specifically because we're in an information age. So because the information is synthesized in such a way that you can get it at your fingertips in your phone. So there really truly is no excuse to not be able to get information. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there should be a shitload of men in this spaces. If they don't have PhDs, like, at least they read enough shit that they could have one if they chose to pursue one. But I just think that, men really need to really not just listen to the information, but you're going to have to really go out here, because many of y'all are going to have to face things that people have already faced, like myself, in terms of passing of parents, experiences like that, that you're going to have to be ready for that. You're going to have to be ready for those types of things that's going to come your way. Many of the people that are around you, they don't have the answers for you. Most of what you're going to learn in your life as a man is going to come outside of your parents' confines anyway. That's just the way it's supposed to be in terms of you growing and evolving. But many of you are going to have to come to the realization that many of these old folks that you got around you in your families, they ain't got the answers for you. You're going to have to take this information that people like myself, BGS, Nameless, Roger, Kev, many people, take the time out to give information so you can grow mentally, so you can be much more aware of the environment that you're in, so you can best navigate the environment to get the best outcomes for yourself. Apathy is not going to work. Yeah, the women on some BS, but at the end of the day, you got leverage, you got choices. They don't. That's the irony. The only thing that they can use to get power over you is to shame you, to do their bidding. And if you allow them to have that power and control over your mind, especially with the information people like myself put forth to let you know where a lot of this stuff is coming from, you just willfully allowed yourself to be subjugated. And there's really no point for you to actually even really be in a space, because you willfully allowing yourself to be subjugated.
Okay, thanks for that. But guys, it's getting kind of late, and we've been at 3 hours, so let's go ahead and get some final statements going. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go ahead and go. I mean, I didn't have too much I need to say afterwards, but no, I just really wanted to address the main topic, like we said before. At the end of the day, These folks is upset. Black men are operating without somebody's permission, and that's what that looks like. So just understand, you've always had the agency to do it. Do it unapologetically, because this is going to be the only way you have any opportunity to gain some of inertia and course correct a lot of the drama going on. And ultimately, black men, we don't have anybody coming to save us but us, just like a lot of us have said in the space before. So if we don't do it, nobody else is going to. And part of what that looks like is learning how to talk with each other. Because even if we don't agree, as long as we're animated by a spirit of understanding and having good intention, we can build from that. And you'll come to find out eventually, a lot of what Rael was saying. Life is going to find you. And when it does, it's going to confront you. And it's going to ask you the question whether or not you've gone through the requisite experiences to stave off adversity or overcome it or be consumed by it. There's no running. There's no hiding and waiting it out. Every bit of power you have, you're going to have to earn on your own volition. And eventually, you're not only going to have to just pick up a book, you're going to have to figure out who in the world you are. And it gets a lot easier when you could take advantage of the information and wisdom a lot of men have experienced who came before you, because that's how human beings are actually supposed to operate. We're supposed to gain the advantages of those who came before us, and that's how we progress further to do even better. So that's all I got to say on that, fam. It's good to chop it up with you again, Kev. Everybody else that's on the panel, folks in the chat. Us.
Us. Always, always, always an honor to have the nameless protagonist up here on the panel. Says like very, very deep thought. I would say he always leaves me thinking. So thanks once again. Who's next? We haven't heard from Chaos Rain yet. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's good, man? I try to keep really neutral in regards to the movements of black men moving forward. Um, know this: what anything a black man does, it's not always gonna be fun and favorite amongst the group and with women, and it should be expected and should be anticipated moving forward. Now, I saw highlights of it, and like I said, it's a step in the good direction. Do I expect perfection? No. So I know most people that are ready to stick their teeth and make content over it. As a man, especially, I'm not going to do it because at least there's some sign of progress. Because I always hear us talk about saying, we have these conversations, but it should go beyond and take it to a step further. And I think what Mr. Wolf and Little Big Nate did was excellent in my opinion. And I expect it's going to be even more better and improved next time. And I think I see more men in the space to really come by and support and actually, make that more deeper connection, hopefully. So, like I said, I don't really make much criticism. I know most of the men don't want to see men complain and do the content on here on YouTube anyway. But like I said, nonetheless, anything you do, not everybody's gonna like, and you should expect it, and you should be doing it anyway because you feel in your mind it's gonna be better and it's gonna have an effect in the long term. So that's my final thoughts.
All right. Thank you, Chaos Rain. Whoever wants to go next. Roger. Roger probably fell asleep over there. Shirael, anything else you'd like to say before I wrap this up?
That's it. Thanks for having me up.
Word, 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 word. All right. Well, that's just the thing about the black men getting together and doing something without permission, as we say. Yeah, it's always gonna run into problems. I can tell you from someone who created a platform where black men can speak up on their various issues that, yes, it's gonna get attacked, it's gonna get dragged, and it's business as usual. But it really isn't the fact that so many people are hating. It's the fact that we're able to persevere through it as men, and you know, and if we can get the job done, that'll be very encouraging. But I mean, if we don't do something real quick, then it is going to be a very dismal look. So, yeah, I'm tired at this point. I'll be coming back to y'all later this week once again, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and speak to you once again. So, thank you very much. Long live the habitual line steppers, and Kev, we trust. Till the next time, peace.